We've lost our podcasts. Then they come back and we don't even know what they mean. Now, it's hard to... I'm good at neither a South African nor an Australian accent.
Okay.
It is hard to impersonate South African in a movie where everyone's speaking Australian and not just fuck up both.
Where are you getting South African?
Richard Chamberlain's character.
Is he South African?
They say that in the movie.
Wait,
I missed that.
He says he's of South
I
Africa.
caught that.
Thank you.
But I thought it was South American.
I think he says he's of...
confusing.
I think he says he is of South African origin. When he's talking about his grandparents.
Like when he
maybe his
talks about his background, that there's some discussion of like family. I thought it was him though.
Wait, it's
immigrating, being born elsewhere.
It's when he said diplomatic immunity.
Did I nail it? Did I, by melding the two accents together, did I nail it?
Gonna go with no.
Did I nail it?
I'm seeing zero nail.
It's a little bit.
Because I'm in my
You got a metal detector, you're sweeping around like, quiet as a mouse.
Right now, it feels like a Home Depot fully stocked.
So Griffin,
walls of nails.
On one end of the spectrum is your Arnold, and then on the other end of the spectrum is your Sandler in Hotel Transylvania.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's sort of in between.
Okay, you're saying you think Sandler Transylvania is the best one I have?
It sounds like the guy.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's my best.
Go ahead. You can do it again. Or don't.
Excuse me, one moment.
What are you doing?
Oh, right.
Griffin is
He's
getting
got the
something
he's
from
got
his
the die.
desk.
Oh man.
Oh,
I wish this is the first time I wish it was a video podcast. I don't, but only in this exact moment. Just for that.
This is my totem. My totem is a loaded die. Only I know the exact weight and balance of this die.
You know, that film is 16 years old.
Happy birthday!
Which is crazy.
Yes.
Because, feels like just yesterday I heard him say that for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like he's had a bad career.
No.
But when you watch that movie, you were like, right, this is it. He's about to be, a big A-lister. He's popping so hard in this.
The issue is, if you actually look at the landscape of theatrical movies, there's not a lot that have like rotating sets where you're like a couple layers into a dream, which is
apparently what he's
his
best
strength.
at.
Yeah, they go around. They're like, I'm just looking for a movie about dreams on a rotating set.
Are you now? There is a state in Australia called South Australia. Are you sure he was not talking about being from South Australia?
Google.
Well, how can I Googled? There's nothing came up. But I mean, that's not that surprising because this is a less well-known.
Well, can we just look at the future Reddit column about this episode?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, man. Got it wrong.
Imagine
Can we use
the
time
hell
travel
of being able to see the future Reddit posts, but not being able to stop them.
That was the original.
It's the worst. That's our reboot of Early Edition. CBS's Early Edition. Every morning we get a notification of a Reddit post
at our door
roasting us, but you can't see what the subject heading of the Reddit post is. And you're just like, how do I anticipate these criticisms?
I'm really glad we never reached a point where someone could say Philip K. Dick is too online, because that would be the short story or book he wrote. We're like, okay, man, I don't know if we needed that.
That is a great point. That a lot of
thank God he died before Twitter was invented.
No, that a lot of writers would have gotten dinged for being too online for writing the exact thing they wrote pre-internet. Like if you wrote fucking Minority Report in 2026, they'd be like, this is some fucking Twitter-brained bullshit. You're so afraid of getting canceled. You wrote Minority Report?
What if the precogs went canceled when they came out of the little milk bath, right? They see future cancellations.
Yeah.
Well, when Matt Damon was in that movie, that is what it was going to be about. But then when it switched to Colin Farrell, they got rid of all the canceled stuff.
Colin's so good in that.
Colin is good in that. I just love that that's another classic Colin Farrell. I have zero memories of being on that set.
Drunk as hell, mate. Spielberg mad at me and Cruise. Everyone mad at me.
And also a thing we called out in that episode that I always think about, just how different Hollywood was, 24 years ago? He was paid $2.5 million for that movie.
That's called having a good agent.
Truly. Yeah. But it was just like, if we've decided you're the guy and you get one of the top 5 parts in a giant movie, we're giving you 2.5 no matter what. And then like 10 years later, Andrew Garfield is signed to play Spider-Man. And they're like, we're going to start you at $250K. You got a 3-movie contract. And by the end of it, you end up at 1. If you make 3 of them.
Well, there's all these movies in like the 80s and 90s, and you'll see, oh, this person got 3.5 million, and the budget was like 3.6. And you're like, how did they pay for the rest? And then they also shot it in Los Angeles for 9 months.
And the person getting paid 3.5 million was George Kennedy. that if George Kennedy was available for 10 days, they were like, it's worth him being 92% of our budget.
Can you do George Kennedy saying murder in Minority Report?
Murder! Drebin? I'm trying Drebin.
Another wet movie. And today we are here to take a bath.
Oh, Minority Report. I thought you were saying Naked Gun.
I'm like really...
It does have some splashing.
I'm genuinely upset that none of you commented on my renaming of our group chat.
I loved it. The Wet Bandits. Look, I was in a rush, but I was very into it.
Okay, because I thought it was a pretty good joke.
I thought
it was like our Wet Bandits is the group chat talking about this movie.
Ben texted and just mid-watch was, is it fair to say, producer Ben Hosley, a gentleman of many shades, of many sides. Sometimes you're a dry guy.
That is true.
But
I've had my moments,
you've had
my
your
dry
moments.
eras.
You have, but you've been
this
known.
weekend you were a drop guy because we watched Drop Zone on VHS.
Sure. Well, that's kind of more of an air guy.
You had a bad boy weekend and not a Bad Boy Records weekend. I just feel like your weekend hangs seemed to have a whiff of being bad boys.
It was a throwback.
It was a throwback.
Yeah, BenDavid and I got Korean barbecue, and then we head back to his.
And then we drank tea, and then we watched Drop Zone on VHS.
No,
What kind of tea?
we drank some dang beers and had maybe a couple of JMOs.
What? You silly guys.
Maybe.
They were silly guys.
Maybe.
Unconfirmed.
right. Reports are surfacing.
But I was going to say that you have been known to value what you would dub a slick flick.
Absolutely.
A wet motion picture.
A splishy, a splashy.
A splishy splashy. Sometimes you go Bobby Darin mode when you're sitting down at the cinema.
There's only so many movies where it rains inside.
Yeah.
You know, this is the
is
thing.
true,
There's
yeah.
lots of movies where it's like, oh, you're on the ocean. Oh, you know, there's a big storm. But it rains inside in this movie many times.
It also...
Water's like the villain.
Water's the
kinda.
villain.
Kind of just, it's sort of just the theme. Like,
Yeah.
beyond that, it's
Both
just kind of, this is about water.
And colonialism, I'd say, are the two big
Yeah,
bads.
there's a little of that too. But I
Right.
mean, like, it's like you're like the last wave and you're like, oh, okay, so is this like a metaphorical wave? And they're like, well, no, actually,
David,
if you think about it.
This is what I love. I had this thought like 10 minutes into the movie. I love a title that is both metaphorical and not at all. I love when there's a title where you're like, Last Wave. Is it maybe just about like cultural tides changing? And you're like,
something's changing. Exactly.
It is, but also
right at the end, we are going to show you a big fucking
the
wave.
last shot's one of the biggest waves you've ever seen.
But also, almost every movie that has the word last in the title is great. But then there's like 2 or 3 that are terrible. But that's the thing I've been thinking about.
Okay, let's make this list.
Oh, I started making a list on the train here and then stopped because I kept seeing Last Stand. So I was like going through them. But but there was like a list. There's like 20 really good movies
Well,
that have the
X-Men,
word last in the
Stand,
title.
That's one of the best.
Oh, so good.
I mean, we should definitely relitigate Last Jedi, which I think is a masterpiece.
Mhm.
So I can alienate everyone who doesn't like it.
Yeah, we all agree this is
that movie.
This is safe space.
Yeah,
And by safe space, I mean a room full of people who are smart and correct.
Yeah, I know, but but I was like going over it, and I was like, there are so many good movies that were last
The
in
Last
title.
X is a pretty strong start. Let me see. I'm gonna
As you're looking this up, I just want to
typing into.
But there is one movie I saw only one time and really did not like. And
The
maybe
Last
it's really
Duel?
great, but The Last Kiss. I think The Last Duel.
The Last
is so
Kiss
underrated.
is one of the worst fucking movies I ever
That's
saw
the
in a
Braff?
theater. Yes.
Yeah.
It is so goddamn bad.
And that's a Goldwyn picture?
This would have been
Yeah,
such
that's
a
right. And
this
you
would have
know
been
what?
such a bonding thing between you and me because I had like weeks of being mad about Last Kiss.
But it's like, it's crazy that I'm mad about it. I saw it in college. Like, you'd think I could have gotten over it. It's probably like 100 minutes long. Like, you know, it didn't end the world when it came out. But I walked out being like, that was bullshit.
It's 100 minutes long, and of those 100 minutes, 80 minutes are Casey Affleck with a beer being like, marriage is tough.
He is in it.
But I was
104 minutes.
So I was in college.
Goldwyn. Come on, you got to whittle that down.
I have to admit that I was like a severe Garden State guy, where like I saw it.
How old are you, BenDavid? And we should introduce the podcast. And we should
I'm
introduce you.
42.
I also set up a thread that I still need to pay off.
I will be 43 when this comes out.
Okay, well, I'm just
but
gonna.
I'm 42.
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
call
to be
you out.
37 when this comes out. Yeah.
Am I gonna be 40?
I think still
Nope,
short of it?
No, still
short.
39. Phew.
Wow.
But as someone who's a little older than me, I think that's a little embarrassing.
So,
but it's fine.
So it came out, and I was like, I don't know, 20, and I saw it, and it made me
Frou-frou.
cry, and then
all the faucets turn on,
and then
he can't cry, but
this
they can.
cute girl came over, and we got really stoned and listened to the soundtrack on repeat for hours, talking about the movie on CD.
I mean,
and
it was a simpler
it
time.
felt really important at the time. I'm like, the symmetrical framing, it captures what it's like to be 20.
If there's one thing that movie has to offer you, it is quite a lot of framing.
So I've not seen it since then, so I will, because I'm sure that I will have some more complicated feelings.
The Last of the
I have a big
Mohicans,
question
good.
for you. Oh, sorry.
The Last Samurai, not so good. Go
We're
ahead.
setting
Matt.
up too many threads simultaneously.
Last of the Mohicans is a masterpiece.
I also love Garden State from the state of New Jersey.
When's the last time you watched it?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, similarly, it was like we were like in the pocket age-wise.
Right.
You ever yell at a dump?
A hole. They yell into a big hole.
They yell on top of a dumpster into a
Have
hole.
you ever
Correct.
gone to New Jersey with Griffin and then got stranded there and we had to take a cab?
That's a whole other
a cab back?
conversation.
I'm pretty sure that all of you were part of that misadventure. That was a real classic. David's getting texts from multiple people
Can I
about what's
please just
going down.
read Ben's text?
Yeah, of course. The Last Castle, kind of meh.
11:43 a.m. Y'all, this movie wet as hell. I just needed to get that out. I've been trying to say that for 10 minutes.
So sorry.
Y'all, this movie wet as hell.
Transformers: The Last Night. Are we counting that one? Not one of the better ones.
It's interesting how
Sort of
much
solidly in the middle, but that's by Transformers.
I swing
range.
between that and Age of Extinction of like which one is more engagingly deranged.
Well, the last
I think
night,
that one's more engaging.
Mark Wahlberg being revealed as the last night of the round table,
Mhm.
and also a
my God.
Anthony Hopkins dying and a robot saying, "Of all the men I've ever served, you were the coolest."
First of all, spoiler. Secondly, that's not just a robot. That is Cogman, Anthony Hopkins' human-sized robot butler that does not transform
Played by Jim Carter.
and is a self-identified sociopath.
Yes. Who also sings opera.
Which he says before he takes living fish and beats them on the ground on the fucking like grid of a submarine into submission so he can eat them.
Okay, last night
Sort of forgot about that part.
has
Good
a
guy.
sequence that no human being alive, including Michael Bay or anyone who worked on it, can tell me where it takes place. Because there's a scene where they like take a ship up into the sky, but then crash land in the sky in what looks like Iceland.
Oh, I can tell you where that takes place. In my wildest dreams.
Well, it's wonderful, but
in
I'm
my
just saying,
best imagination.
they like crash land in the sky on Earth and then get up to race away from it to come back down to Earth, and I can't figure it out.
Then showing Griffin
Fuck,
something
it's
important.
South America. I was trying to queue it up
He went up.
on the Criterion app and Ben got it before I did.
He was born there. I see. But
Richard Chamberlain is born in South
Wow.
America.
Yeah,
movie.
I
Do
mean,
we
okay.
delete
Okay, so
49 minutes of us discussing it?
No, it's
or
all
just
in.
leave it in? I feel so much better because I'm like, I've seen this movie a lot and I don't remember.
You are the most like views of this movie on my Letterboxd friends.
Well,
Very
guess
few
what?
people have seen this movie total.
Weir's
You've
one
seen it
of your
like 4
guys,
times.
and I told you we're finally doing Weir. Knew you had a new movie coming out. It was a time to get you back on, and I feel like this was immediately. You said I would do anything. I basically would be happy to do any Weir episode, but your passion for this one punched through really quickly.
well,
there's-
especially since it's less requested. It's less.
There's
yeah.
2 Weirs in pop culture that really, really matter to me. Obviously, Peter Weir. Second, Lindsay Weir.
Lindsay Weir.
from Freaks
Lindsay
and
Weir.
Geeks.
We've
Yes.
certainly.
We've
But
made
I
a couple
do-
Lindsay Weir
I
jokes.
probably
Green
love
Army
all the
Jacket.
Weirs equally.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe the dad the most.
Sam, you're not a Sam guy.
No, I mean,
Sam's
for
great.
life.
Yeah.
But the dad,
That's
I mean, comedy legacy.
Yes. What's
It was the worst $15 I ever spent. Whatever he says about losing his virginity, it's
just-
so fucking funny.
my favorite is the episode where he's trying to get them invested in the idea of family game night because the Weirs need to spend more time together, and he keeps on trying to convince them that the card game pit's really exciting. And at the end, Becky Ann Baker convinces him to like loosen his grip and let them live their own lives. And then she's like, "Okay, well, let's finish the game." And he goes, "I don't want to play this. It's a terrible game."
Joe Flaherty is. I mean, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
He died pretty recently.
Yeah.
Money in the goddamn
So-
bank.
Just him
He
being
is the
angry
best.
about anything.
So in October, I was doing this thing where I would like watch these YouTube blocks of like horror programming, and there's a bunch of these where they find like all these anthology shows, sort of like Tales from the Crypt that you've never heard of, and they have an episode and they'd be like written by Andrew Kevin Walker and crazy. And I'd sent you one where it was this horror show hosted by Joe Flaherty. And then it was an episode all about Catherine O'Hara being a nun who, if she fell in love with someone, they would like blow up. And
Well,
I'm forgetting the details.
He had a
of it.
character called Count Floyd on SCTV.
He's iconic. That's why he dresses up as a vampire. In the
Right.
Freaks
That
and
was
Geeks
his
Halloween
local.
episode.
Exactly. And then on the Ed Grimley cartoon show, which listeners might be astonished to hear.
I'm sorry, Griff. There are no more listeners on this episode. They
I
are
think
gone.
just left.
They rode the wave out of here 10 minutes
I'm
ago.
hearing a flat line in
Yeah.
the distance.
A thing that young Griffin Newman hyper fixated
It's a
on.
tumbleweed. Just the graph is just a tumbleweed.
Griffin, is it possible that I had a lunchbox of the Grimley cartoon? Did
Quite
that
possible.
exist? Or
Yes.
is that just some weird memory I
No,
have
no,
trying to make
probably.
myself
There
seem
was merch.
weirder?
There's Talking Ed Grimley dolls that are in the animation style. But Count Floyd would appear in live action segments. They would cut to Count Floyd on Ed Grimley's TV. So Count Floyd was very important in my childhood.
I mean, that's just the kind of statement that only Griffin Newman would make these
Yep.
days. But I completely believe it.
Well, because free speech is illegal.
Right?
So
You're not allowed to talk about SCTV anymore because of the tariffs.
I
Because
didn't
of the
know that there was
tariffs.
a live action Grimley. I had known the cartoon.
That was my introduction as well.
Yeah.
And I got
Makes
very
sense, makes
confused
sense.
between animated Ed Grimley and live action Pee Wee Herman because they both had cowlicks.
Okay, well, what about
This
the
is
Ace
blank
Ventura
check.
cartoon?
Thank you so much.
With Griffin and David, that's a whole other conversation about how in 1994, Jim Carrey had $300 million domestic grossers. And by
He did.
1996, all three were converted into Saturday morning cartoons on rival networks.
No, none of
you
them
actually just set up a perfect transition to a thing I have to admit.
Yeah,
So-
I still haven't introduced the pod, by the way.
So last time I was on this show, we all agreed that I would not come back until you were doing a Tom Shadyac series, and I was going to do Dragonfly.
I had originally promised that if the podcast made it to 10 years, we would cover Tom Shadyac. And this, of course, is the 11th year of the podcast. And I want to promise that we will do it on year 20.
Well, I wasn't
Yeah, it'd be
sure what we were
Yeah.
doing
It'll be
today,
Yeah.
and I texted you for clarity, and you didn't respond. So I watched both of these to prepare.
You also watched Dragonfly.
I watched Dragonfly yesterday, and I prepared a bunch of talking points in case we want to get into both
Isn't
of them.
Dragonfly one of those movies that's very hard to it doesn't exist?
Universal.
It's like
There was I rented it on iTunes yesterday and watched it and took notes.
Universal has been doing a thing I really appreciate on their like home entertainment channel. Once a month, they do a grid post that is new to digital. And it is,
Oh,
here
yeah,
are
it's
20
here.
movies that have been out of circulation that we're proud to tell you are now rentable on digital
oh,
platforms.
good.
And mostly it's like 30s, 40s programmer
Right.
stuff.
But they finally got Dragonfly
in
back.
the grid. You
That
don't know
was a
how
movie
much
that was impossible to watch.
timing helped you with this bit. Because 3 weeks ago, this bit would have been impossible.
I have something to say about Dragonfly, or is it Frequency? Fuck, I can't
It's
remember.
probably Frequency. What I have to say about Dragonfly, so it's about Dr. Joe Darrow,
You just come
played by
in.
Kevin Costner, and his wife dies because she's on a bus filled with school kids that drives off a cliff into a lake and they all drown.
Okay. And
Where
he
would-
can communicate with them?
Where was Superman?
Well, this is the problem. He told Superman this.
Okay, I'm just going to make my point, and then
Yeah.
we're going to introduce our guest. I just rewatched the Michael Haneke film, The Piano Teacher,
Okay.
because I'm watching all of my discs that I bought, and I bought that umbrella set.
You bought the umbrella, not the Curzon.
Correct.
Interesting.
Is what happened.
Okay.
And
Good set?
I bought it a while. It's very, very good. Very
Okay,
well, very
okay.
well done.
I've been struggling to figure out which is the one to buy.
They both seem good to me. I don't know.
Hate to get it wrong.
There's a scene in The Piano Teacher where Isabelle Huppert is sitting like at a cafe or whatever, and there's a poster for the movie Frequency behind her, and I was like, that's so weird. Like, in this like dour fucking movie about this woman who's like on a sadomasochistic relationship. It's like, oh yeah, Frequency.
But
Remember,
also-
but Frequency is not Dragonfly, but they are
No.
both about like communicating across sort of a mystical
Yes.
barrier, you know.
Right.
Similar idea.
Frequency is like CB radio, Field of Dreams.
It's
like what if you
Jim
could
Caviezel,
talk to your dead dad.
right?
Yeah, it's Caviezel and
podcast
Quaid.
time travel.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And Dragonfly is near-death experiences. The Doctor.
Yeah, so Jeff,
Yeah, yeah.
so he doesn't believe in the afterlife, and they bring this person who OD'd in a way to try to kill themselves into the emergency room after his wife dies, and he says, "I'm only interested in saving people who want to live." So this person gets sent to another doctor. He talks to her, and she gets really upset, saying, "Why'd you bring me back?" And he said, "Because there's no heaven and there's no afterlife. This is it. So you shouldn't kill yourself." And then he ends up believing in the afterlife. That's the big spoiler.
Fuck you, Costner.
And also, I'm very sorry for interrupting you, David. From
Oh,
now
it's quite
on,
all right.
I'm like Michael Douglas at the end of Traffic. I'm here to listen.
Is that what he says in Traffic?
I consider and concede for the first time that maybe drugs are bad. What is he listening to?
It's because his daughter's like, hey.
Well, it's
know?
because Harrison Ford was interested, and they added a bunch of scenes to that character, and then Harrison Ford decided not to do it.
But he's like a really
It was
aggressive.
not the kind of movie that his viewers wanted.
Is he
to
a
see.
DEA agent?
He's the drug czar.
Right.
The idea in Traffic is that he has been appointed drug czar in the
And
war
his
on drugs, and then it turns out his
daughter is
daughter is a heroin addict.
So is he like listening to
I
the
think-
plight
No,
of
he's
addiction?
at her drug.
He
thing,
comes to her
like her AA or
Got
whatever it is.
Okay.
And,
Right. He's understanding the human struggle within a thing that he is viewed as.
I recently read
A
Ed
war.
Zwick's memoir.
Congrats.
Memoir.
Yeah.
And obviously one of the more interesting things about Ed Zwick is the 2 Oscar nominations he got were for producing movies that other people directed.
So it's Shakespeare in Love and Traffic. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have gotten I think those are his only 2 noms.
I think so. And
And
he
so
won. He has an Oscar.
He sure does, and he talks about that
For Best
Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
But it is, so he has to devote chapters to those movies that he
Mhm.
did not make.
Mhm.
And he's, it's interesting. Anyway, he talks about Traffic, and apparently Ford at a certain point just sent a message being like, "My fans don't want me in a movie like this right now." That's just that's
Get
how
off that heroin.
That's Harrison
Please.
Ford telling someone to kick their habit.
Introduce our
This
guest.
is Blank Check with Griffin and David. I am Griffin.
I'm David.
It's a podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear and sometimes they bounce. Baby, sometimes they hit you like a giant fucking wave.
Sploosh!
Sploosh indeed. This is a miniseries on the films of Peter Weir. I regret to inform you, the miniseries is titled Podnik at Hanging Cast because I was overruled on
Every week he complains.
Podster and Castmander, the pod side of the cast.
Has one guest agreed with you so far?
No, this guest doesn't.
Every guest
not
is
yet.
like,
Not yet.
not yet.
Today joining us, returning to the show, a dear friend to talk about The Last Wave. He is the writer and director of the new, just about to be released, recently released.
That's actually the funniest thing about this is by the time this comes out,
March 22nd.
it will have already been at South by,
Sure.
and it'll have reviews, and it'll be about to come out. And I don't know how that's going to go. I bet it goes so good. But
It's gonna be perfect.
the last movie I made was supposed to premiere at Tribeca 2020,
Yes.
and
Anything- good year,
some
normal year.
interesting things happened.
Yeah.
So I am like psychologically incapable of counting on anything happening between now and when this drops. But let's just assume it all worked out and it was great.
BenDavid, you have nothing to worry about because everything at this present moment, the first week of February 2026, has been normal, coming off a normal January, and I can't see any scenario in which things would get crazier.
The news is great. Nothing bad is happening right now at all.
I love just watching the news and relaxing and unwinding at the end of a long day. But if you're looking to get amped up and have a good time, you can watch Mike and Nick and Alice on Hulu.
And Disney Plus.
And Disney Plus.
The main thing that matters is someday we're going to find out what Sims thinks of all the Gilmore Girls references in it.
I mean,
You have yet to see the picture.
I have not yet seen it. I want it.
Hosley and I have seen it twice. It has a tremendous amount of Gilmore Girls content.
I am,
That's a spoiler.
as I think,
Thematically interwoven.
as I think BenDavid knows, I'm a very, very, very deeply devoted fan of the television show Gilmore Girls. I've written about it quite floridly. Once on a date, a girl that I was on a date with realized that I was the David Simmons of the AV Club, not a celebrity, to be clear. She was like, "Oh, right." And then she was like, "Wait, did you write that Gilmore Girls thing?" And I was like, "Huh?" And then she called it up and started like reading it to me, being like, "I can't believe a boy wrote this." Not in a bad way. She was positive, but she was also like, "This is crazy."
That's like the When
Because
Harry Met Sally scene.
Back
Where
then,
Carrie Fisher quotes Bruno Kirby to him.
yes,
And he's
yeah,
like, I wrote that. New York Magazine.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty sexy.
She's like, I
scene,
never
actually.
quote articles.
There you go. It's a good scene.
Yeah.
Didn't work out, but great moment
My
for me.
condolences.
Back then, Gilmore Girls, people lived in the shadows.
Our guest today
Considering it great art.
is
Now we all agree.
BenDavid Grabinski, a.k.a. a joke we somehow didn't call out in your previous episode, BenDavid Griffinski. Your name already contains 2 out of the 3 of us, and it requires very few letters to make it all 3.
If I remember correctly, it was a different time because I lived in Los Angeles then and I live in New York now. So it feels like lifetimes ago. I think it was hours into it when someone said, "Wait, your name's BenDavid, and we keep saying Ben and David. This might be confusing."
Yes. When I cite you on the podcast, it sometimes gets
Are
a
you
little
named
confusing.
for multiple people? Is that the
Great
the
question.
etymology?
Hard-hitting question.
I think
Charlie Rose
like
over here.
in the same way that you guys had that we had a
Uh-oh.
we had a
Put that bathrobe
discussion
back
about
on.
John Travolta on the podcast that ended up happening in a whole other podcast where it was almost like verbatim, and I was like, I feel like I've heard this conversation somewhere. I realized like we had it. I bet you this was asked last time.
It may have been. I'm sorry.
But if it wasn't,
Yeah.
I was named BenDavid. I was born on Lincoln's birthday in Lincoln, Nebraska, and my parents were going to name me Abe. And when they were sleep deprived, someone thought, that's kind of weird, so we're going to name him BenDavid. And there was never any reasoning given beyond
No
that.
justification.
My 42
they're
years
like,
on the
let's pivot
planet.
off of Abe.
Yeah.
Let's find something normal. And they kind of crashed two normal names.
There's
together.
been no explanation ever. That was just an impulsive thing someone thought of.
So your birthday is in a week or so, if you were born on Abraham Lincoln's birthday, which is, of course, February 12th.
Excuse me. BenDavid and I, our birthdays are exactly 1 week apart, and we're very close.
All right, so I got
Much like when Maurice sits at that desk, it is the desk that is closest to me and reserved for the person whose birthday is closest to mine.
All right, so last year Griff and I had a joint birthday party,
We did.
and then the bartender made a very special, elaborate drink for
Let's
the
call
birthday
out
boy.
The
It was
great
at the
Tom
Tiki
Wolfson,
Bar. Right,
who's
great
a
Tom.
loyal, longtime Blanky.
The
And
guy was amazing.
Sunken Harbor Club in New York City, one of our favorite bars, if not our number one favorite bar.
One of the great tiki bars in New York City.
It's incredible. It's a wonderful place, and it's a tiki bar minus all problematic elements.
Yes.
It is a thing I want to actually
It's
communicate.
really
to
more
people.
of a like nautical bar.
It is
right. Like it's
right.
like an undersea bar.
It is tiki style drinks in basically what feels like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's
Now-
like old British crusty men. It's closer to a Master and Commander bar.
Now, listeners might be surprised to learn that part of the deal with some of the drinks is there's a little performance.
There's some performance, there's sugar, there's lights, there's music. The place feels like a high-end kind of Disney attraction
Feels
where
like a theme park.
you feel like you're underwater and that you hear the waves rustling.
Shocking that Griffin Newman would gravitate to her
I
place
know that
like
this is his favorite.
We share many common interests. I should mention BenDavid's other major credits, of course, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, the film Happily, and most importantly, founding member of the historic group text, the 4DX Club, which despite Sims's jokes, is not a sausage party. And in fact, we are the comfortable male identifying minority in the group text. This is the 4DX Club is a matriarchy.
Wait, is 40%
I'm
of the
lost.
40X group men? I think that's true.
Correct.
All right. Anyway, we got to get to the punchline of
I don't
this
think
drink.
I've ever accused 40X of being too male.
I called out the 4DX
you
Club
did on
and
the
you
pod.
went, oh, bet there was a lot of women in that group
Sounds like a
text.
great gag by me.
Wrong! This group text has binders full of women. 3.
3 binders.
Sunken Harbor Club. Tom Wolfson sets us up, a gentleman and a scholar. I will let you now deliver the punchline.
So at some point, they're like, well, here's the birthday boy.
He calls me over.
And there's birthday boys, plural. But they
Hands me an
behave as if there's
envelope.
only one. And you can explain what happened.
He hands me an envelope with like a red light keychain to locate a hidden message that I then say out loud to the bartender. And then I believe they start playing the Lalo Schifrin music, do an entire act out of being suspicious and trying to like sneak around the bar, and then like construct something and light it on fire and hand it to me with like a lot of pomp and circumstance. And I go like, did you just fucking see that? How fucking cool is that? We get like a Mission Impossible drink for our birthday. You should go up and order it. And I hand you the envelope and I'm like, here's the password. And then what happens?
And the
to
guy's like, oh, we only plan one because it's his birthday.
we have exactly one amount of
And I
ingredients.
have an IMF tattoo. I ran a Mission Impossible 2 website in high school, and I didn't get the Mission Impossible drink. So I think the great thing about New York is it's just humbling. You know, ever since I moved here, every single situation just, you know, they're like, you don't get a Mission Impossible drink. And I'm like, well, that's good.
It's also
That's
funny
good for
that the left side of your tattoo is part 1 and the right side of your tattoo is something different.
This is the final tattoo.
It just is like, no, but it was always supposed to be this design.
I think we should.
Wait, I have one more thing about
Okay.
tiki bars. So, you know, is it Trader Sam's at Disneyland?
Yes, correct.
I was watching for the first time recently the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion.
Oh, yeah,
They
not a
shoot
good film.
They shoot a scene in Trading Sam's.
Yes. It
Like-
had just opened.
It's kind of overlit. in
It
the
is.
movie.
That whole movie, I would say, is overlit for a haunted house comedy.
Well, Rob Minkoff, he was a cartoon director, so yeah, had a big light on the cartoons as you drew them, maybe, and he never learned his lesson.
Sims, that's an incredible insight. You're right.
I say that in like
you can't
an academic setting, and someone's like,
you
"Fire this
can't
man!"
draw in the dark. So animators don't know how to shoot live action other than to just...
Hey, it's me, David Sims. I'm here to teach Film 101. Why is the Haunted Mansion overlit? I don't know. Cartoonists need big lights to see all the cartoons they draw.
Minkoff on set with a big bullhorn. I need 80 more desk lamps.
Can't see everything.
Just pointing desk lamps at Eddie Murphy's head.
That movie ends with a Nelly song that samples the theme from People's Court.
Yes.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Who else is in the Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy?
Well, there's one slam dunk piece of casting, which is Terrence Stamp as a creepy butler, like as a ghost butler.
Okay.
And then Wallace Shawn is like a creepy horseman.
Wallace Shawn.
Carriageman.
Wait.
Wallace Shawn is indeed, it seems, maybe third build, which I love the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in trouble if he's that high up on the call sheet.
But he's Evers and Evers Realty. He's trying to sell the haunted mansion. He and his family have to stay there for a night. So most of it is his wife and his 2 children. Marsha Thompson, is that maybe the name of the actress?
So you want a great transition.
Please.
Marsha Thompson.
There we go.
From Lost, which clearly was
There we
inspired
go.
by Fearless by
which was
Peter
directed
Weir.
by Peter Weir. We're making it weird today. Today we're talking about The Last Wave, Peter Weir's third film. What is interesting about Peter Weir's career versus many other directors we've covered is like these 3 films kind of come out as like one movement of expression, right? Like he's sort of just like...
they sort of all, right. It's not like they happen simultaneously, but he set several balls rolling. And so when it's not like he did we'll talk about it, but like he did The Last Wave based off of his success of Picnic and Hanging Rock. It was already well in motion by the time Picnic was in post-production or whatever.
Right. The success of Picnic got him a little extra money for this. But yeah, these 3 films just sort of like started rolling at the same time and then come out in very short succession.
Certainly true. And I guess it's sort of the breadth of, I mean, Gallipoli is probably the big thing for him, but like, and You're Living Dangerously, but like the breadth of like genres, moods, tones that he's showing here. If I'm in Hollywood, I'm kind of like, this guy feels like he could do a lot of stuff. Like
a lot of
throw him on anything.
Our favorite types of directors to cover talk about like early in your career, you start to strategize. How do I not get pigeonholed into being one thing? How do I prove that I can make all different types of movies? A lot of careers go astray when someone is like, I want to prove that I can make this kind of thing. And then their second film abandons everything their first film does well and their career stumbles. But Peter Weir kind of has the perfect version of it where the first 3 movies, he's like, here's a fucking tapestry. Let me work.
Yeah.
When did you see The Last Wave for the first time? BenDavid Grabinski.
Because for me, it's a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
You hadn't seen it before?
No.
I mean, I respect that.
You said that very dismissively.
No.
I simply had not. I don't know what to tell you.
So like Weir's one of my guys, and based on actually what you just talked about, it was like a real accidental thing, where I had like 3 movies as a kid that meant everything to me, but I didn't know like what directors were besides like everyone knew who Tim Burton was and like Spielberg. But I'd seen Dead Poets Society, which I fucking loved. In school, they showed me Gallipoli, which traumatized me. And I just watched it 2 days ago and it made me cry so hard I almost vomited.
Things didn't go great in Gallipoli.
But Gallipoli has, I think, it is maybe the saddest movie ever. I got so upset. I was like an adult and I cried so hard I almost puked.
BenDavid knows me well enough that he texted the other night, I advise you to not watch Gallipoli right before recording because I think the ending will leave you in a bad mood. And I was like, oh, good, night before.
It ends with someone just staring into the camera being like, fuck Griffin Newman, by the way. That guy sucks.
What the fuck is that?
He's bad at podcasting. Anyway, roll the credits.
Who the fuck wrote this?
The end of the movie.
Kyle Chandler's character from Early Edition? He got posts from our Reddit?
The end of the movie is Mel Gibson looking at the camera and saying, Griffin Newman's Arnold impression is terrible.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to fight you on that.
I wasn't arguing. It wasn't.
Feels like a weird use of your platform.
But the other movie was Witness, which I saw on TV with commercials on like KUTP 45. And as a kid, like, you know, Raiders and Han Solo, like that was your shit. And I watched Witness and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Correct reaction.
But also just I'd never seen anything like it because it's like you think you're watching like a cop movie, but you're also watching this unbelievable sad love story and like this introduction to the world of the Amish. And I'm like, this is like the greatest movie ever. So like these 3 movies that I really like. And I have no idea like they're the same guy until I'm, like in my late teens or whatever. And then I was obsessed with Truman Show. Like I had the score on CD and I would like listen to it all the time. But what happened, the reason I got into this movie is very dumb and weird, but like Garden State, but in a different way. My freshman year of college, I saw Donnie Darko and I was so into it. And the thing I couldn't put a finger on was like, the vibe of like the world is ending and this is melancholy. But it's also not devastating. It's sort of like this slow crawl where like a lead character is sort of feeling like the world around him is like reaching the end.
But also the world around him is like revealing itself. It's explaining what he maybe had always kind of felt and couldn't put his finger on.
And I did this thing back then that was like very formative for me, which is if I really liked a movie, I try to figure out what inspired the director, which is how I ended up becoming such a huge Demi fan, was because like PT wouldn't stop talking about him. And there was an interview with Richard Kelly where he mentioned The Last Wave. And I'm like, what the fuck is The Last Wave? So I got it from Netflix, DVD mailed to me. And I watched it and it like fucked me up. And I hadn't seen Twin Peaks yet. I actually I think I watched Twin Peaks for the first time, like actually right after that. And I hadn't seen a ton of Lynch. And there was a mood to it that felt very singular. And now I've realized that like there's a few like masters of it, but that thing of just the mounting dread, the reality and the things you're imagining or your dreams kind of bleeding into each other. And it just really clicked for me. And I think I realized later my love of both of those movies at the time and now is actually partially, this is gonna get weird, is connected to like growing up super Christian. Like I went to like a Christian school from like age 5 to like 12 and went to way too much church and like Baptist church. And they made you feel 24/7 like the world was going to end at any moment. And if you're not saved, you're fucked. So it's like you need to like become a Christian before the rapture and the end times are real and all this stuff. And I think I grew up really genuinely thinking that the world was going to end because of that omnipresent feeling.
It is wild that that's a thing.
Yeah. It's like where I would have like nightmares thinking that I was going to wake up and all my friends would be gone and I was like alone.
Instead, you should just tell your kids, like, I don't know, be nice to each other. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
But that like almost all forms of Christianity have some underpinning of like, and if the apocalypse happens tomorrow, it'd actually be good news.
I would disagree with that. I would say
Okay,
most
push
forms
back
of
on
Christianity do not. I would say it's the more kind of like we really read the book and everything in it is true types that are like, no. Like the world's got to end for shit to be really good. Well, a lot of the blander Christianity is more in the realm of like, be nice to each other.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the stuff I like.
Right. You know, not to defend Christianity, which is bad.
No, you love it.
Yeah, sure. I love it.
Well, I think that there's something very escapist for me about movies about the end of the world that are not like, Judeo-Christian, where it's about like this separate thing where you can enjoy it, and then it's not like a callback to some kind of weird childhood like trauma about that stuff.
I also think this movie is kind of about the like peeling back of a Judeo-Christian societal structure that was imposed upon a stolen land. Like part of it is this white guy, South American in origin.
I guess so.
Who's kind of
he was at least born there. Maybe he's the son of a diplomat or something, right? Like
let's not contest it now that we know he certainly was born there. I've never been wrong on this podcast once.
No.
Never.
Certainly not.
And I want to make this clear. Anytime I've been wrong, I am reading verbatim from the dossiers of J.J. Birch.
Right. It's all his fault.
Who will never be fired, but will always take the fall. No, but that it's sort of him like recognizing that there has been a suppression of the rules of the land and the world and life that this Judeo-Christian movement placed themselves on top of and have been like smothering. Right? It's like him peeling back the layers to like, what the fuck is actually going on here?
It's definitely it's a little bit about whatever's up with his bland ass, as well as the wider, implications of colonialism and the arrival of white people in this country that is not their own, totally chill arrival, right? With no issues. And then possibly, yes, like, I mean, I think Peter Weir just loves the idea of like, what if this like really prosaic, really fucking by the numbers guy had to believe in kind of magic,
But
you know,
not only-
had to confront the supernatural.
As he put it, the whole hook for him on this movie was like, what if a pragmatist experiences a premonition? Like that was the core
Right, totally,
animating idea.
and
Who's the
has
most-
to kind of start thinking like, was that real? That
Right.
wasn't just a weird dream?
But I think there's something to what you're saying of like, white people showing up, not just wanting to like reap the riches of the land and massacre the people and claim everything for their own, but also be like, and by the way, we come from our country where we cracked society. We understand how everything works. Here's the system. Everyone conform to us now. And the indigenous people of whatever country they have taken over hostilely are sort of forced to figure out how they exist in relation to that being the dominant societal structure.
It's very similar to the movie Dragonfly.
It's very similar to the movie Dragonfly, which is now available digitally from our friends at Universal Home Entertainment.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, UHE.
Big Planet.
We love that big planet,
'Cause
don't
that's,
we?
That's the logo.
The globe. We love that globe.
Big Earth.
I'm surprised you had never seen this before, David. Because you love Weir, although I recently said Weir's one of your main guys, and you went, it's less that he's one of my main guys and more that he's made some movies that are amongst my favorites and that he feels like a perfect encapsulation of the type of director I like to cover on
Exactly
this
that.
podcast.
But I do love
Yeah.
a handful of the movies he's made. And then I tend to pretty much like the rest of them, except for Dead Poets Society, which we will talk about. Not a movie I hate, but a movie I'm very mixed on.
Sims was the negative Nelly on that episode.
The
No
only-
offense to your wife, Ben.
Appreciate that.
Well, she's positive, Nelly.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I just don't want anyone to get it mixed up.
That is always how I describe them. There's negative Nelly and positive Nelly, and one is Sims.
Maybe
I've
it's
never
no
seen,
problem, Nelly. Maybe that's the way, just so it's
Yeah, I don't know. I
No
don't know what the
problem, Nelly.
cleaner version is.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Positive works.
sure. It just
I've never seen The Way Back is the other one.
I haven't seen
Which is
Green
crazy.
Card and The Way Back, but the rest I've
Green Card
seen
is
a lot.
a movie I adore. The Way Back, it's just kind of crazy that I haven't seen it because like Colin Farrell's in it.
it's wild that you didn't see it because Colin Farrell's in it.
And it was the follow-up to Master and Commander. Like
Yes, and
but of course when it came out, everyone was like, snooze. And I was like, oh, I guess I won't bother.
it got a makeup nomination.
It sure did.
It was like enough at the periphery of the Oscar conversation that I'm even surprised I didn't watch it that year because that feels like peak obsessive. What if I watch literally every
But
single
it got
nominee?
those classic snoozy reviews where everyone was just like, oh, it's fine, I suppose. Like there was just no enthusiasm for it. I've heard a couple of whispers of people being like, that movie's underrated over
Yeah.
the years, but very little.
I also think it's interesting that Weir was kind of a perfect example of a director who was beloved within the industry. It felt like, he had a handful of director and picture nominations. A-list movie stars clearly loved him, flocked to him with their passion projects. But he was not really a household name. When you look at his 90s films, they're sold as from the director of blank and blank. But Peter Weir was not kind of known to the public as an auteur as much. And it feels like outside of Australia, where I think the first 4 or 5 films are so impactful and he's such an important figure in the Australian new wave that there was a real kind of hometown hero, immediate kind of claiming of him. But I feel like when The Way Back comes out, the Master and Commander hive had not fully.
I was there, but
You
no.
were there, but it
But
still
no,
was
no,
a
no,
little
no.
bit of an outside opinion.
Yeah. That
Now-
it was the best movie ever made. Yes.
But if 2 years ago they were Peter Weir has returned to the cinema
People would be more
with a
excited.
Serbian refugee drama called The Way Back, people would be hooting and hollering. I'm not saying to make $100 million,
No.
but there would be a
There'd be
sort
some
of
hype.
right.
But he has long been a director who is taken seriously, who, makes big movies, blah, blah, blah. But people do not stand in the way
No.
of, some big auteurs.
No, I do think Master and Commander growing made certain people revisit and do what you're saying, BenDavid, of being like, oh, fuck, he directed all 5 of those movies I love. And there's
Yeah.
been a little bit more of a retrospective a tourist swing on him.
Now, why did you, BenDavid, vibe with this movie specifically? Well, you said it already, basically.
Well, but I would say that.
Did you catch it on DVD? Like, what was your first?
Yeah, Netflix got in the mail.
There's a
Proto Quickster.
The funny thing about there's like stuff that like you gravitate towards that also is not at all like it's not your sensibility, like the stuff you're making. But a thing to me that I think is magic, if you can do it, is the movies that make it where you blurring the lines between what's actually happening and what's not, and making you feel like you're in the same headspace as the person. My favorite of all time of that is Perfect Blue.
Yes, the Coen movies are my favorite execution of that, which is also one of my favorite things.
It's like if someone can make me feel like I'm losing my grip on reality alongside the lead character, I think that's just like a real, there's almost like a sense, there's like a magic to it, like between editing and sound design and music. And this movie to me is one of the most effective. Like he's taking stuff that's in Picnic at Hanging Rock, which I think is a better movie. I'd say I think it's one of the best movies ever made. But this movie leans really hard into the feeling you get in the first third of that, like when they're on that trip, that thing where like nature and, you know, this cosmic, almost like a cosmic horror kind of thing. It's like a very, very sophisticated prestige version of that.
It's also, I will say, not an easy movie to sell someone or describe in any way. Like
we'll get into it in the dossier. But the fascinating thing is that the success and at least like the critical sort of notoriety of Picnic at Hanging Rock translated to United Artists putting up a good chunk of the budget for this movie because they felt like, is Weir someone who's about to translate over to the States?
Which was true.
And when they
in a way
watched the final film, they were like, yeah, you can sell it to someone else to release it. We don't want to put this out. They had put the money into it.
It's a weird one.
And production was done and they were like, feel free to shop.
I mean, I'm not shocked because I think they saw it and they were probably like, this is very Australian. Like, this is not something that's going to translate. And my wife was like, what's, you know, she like comes in as I want. She's like, what's it about? And I'm like, well, and I really struggled to lay out the setup of the movie.
There is like a 2-sentence you could give on this movie that would not represent it well, but would actually be conveying the major movements of it, if that makes sense.
I guess so. Yeah. It's like there's a white guy in a sort of town, kind of in the outback, who gets drawn into a crime or an alleged crime and discovers that there's maybe like a sort of supernatural thing going on or a sort of, you know, ancient religious, you know, kind of thing going on. And then maybe he's sort of involved with it, like
tax murder
supernaturally.
Asked to represent Aboriginal murder in digging deeper, understands that perhaps there is a supernatural phenomenon coming on that also points towards the end of days.
It's a bit It's a bit hard to just kind of lay out to somebody.
That's not wrong, what I just said. But also, if you said that to someone, they would not picture the movie that exists.
I think. Well, I mean, I didn't watch it because like I'd read the premise and the premise sounded amazing. I watched it because I was, you know, being an idiot going down a rabbit hole of like, oh, like, you know, Richard Kelly said he liked it and blah blah blah. There's another thing about it that it has that I love, which is kind of the foundation of like giallo movies, which is like a detective story where it's not a detective and they're solving something that is kind of bigger than the thing. Where like I love when it's like a lawyer or a journalist or like a saxophone player or something, where like someone who's from the out, who doesn't traditionally every day wake up and try to solve some gigantic unsolvable thing,
like a movie
getting
about
deeper and deeper and deeper,
like a movie about like a white man jazz saxophonist who starts to realize there's a weird pattern relating to the number 23 and needs to get to the bottom of it. You're saying that's your ideal kind of movie. I've never seen it.
I thought you were starting to say the movie Deep Red. There are actually so many movies about like jazz players who get involved in a big, scary mystery.
Yeah. And no bigger mystery than 23. I've yet to hear a bigger number cause that much damage. I haven't seen it because I didn't, I fucked up and I didn't watch it when I was 23 and now I got to wait till I'm 46.
Someone very earnestly recently, I hope he doesn't hear this and think I'm mocking him, was talking to me and said, have you ever noticed how the number 23 is everywhere? And I was like, is this a bit, do you know about the movie number 23? And he wasn't aware that anyone else had ever said that before. He was just noticing it.
He hadn't seen the picture.
No, yeah, he just was like, he thought he was the first guy to notice that the movie number 23 was everywhere.
It is funny, movies like number 23 and Pay It Forward that are just like immediately met with derision and bomb. But also, even before their release, they're like, we're just going to pluck this and put it into the vernacular. No one has seen the movie. Everyone's seen the trailer. We all want to make number 23 jokes for the rest of our lives.
That's me being Jim Carrey in that movie. So prove me wrong.
I think you were like 17 notes short.
And for the listeners at home, Dave is doing incredible sex work.
So the finger work is so specific and precise.
So the didgeridoo, I think, is the second best instrument after the alto sax, just because I played that.
You played alto sax?
You played didgeridoo?
No, I'm just saying, like, I wish I did.
Oh, sure.
I think that it is anything that is both a instrument and also sounds like sound design. To me, that's sick, in my opinion.
I'm opening the dossier.
Crack
at
it
this
open.
film.
Yep.
Peter Weir's second film was Picnic at Hanging Rock. It came out in 1975. It was a huge success in the country of Australia, and then it was a global success, but it took years.
Yeah.
So it really only gets to America in 1979, which
After
is
this.
2 years after The Last Wave comes out. So that's how, slowly things are going. Now, Stanley Kubrick was a huge fan of Picnic at Hanging Rock. He had very good taste.
Also, I can't remember if we called this out in the episode. He, at some point before he died, wrote a list of his 100 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, people often obsess over said list.
Cars That Ate Paris is on that list.
There
He
you
was
go.
specifically like locked in on that from release.
Good
Yeah.
for
Pretty
him.
sure we've called it out.
Okay, well, who knows? Impossible to say.
He
No way to
recommended
check.
to Warner Brothers that they hire him to do the Salem's Lot TV, the sort of legendary TV adaptation of Salem's Lot, which of course was instead directed by
Mick Garris?
Is that right?
Did
Someone
Mick
tell
Garris
me.
do Salem's Lot?
Larry Cohen did the second one.
I think it's Mick Garris, unless he did one of the other.
Toby Hooper. I knew it wasn't Mick Garris.
That was really
With
embarrassing.
the famous with the
I was
boy,
reading
the
off
boy
of
at the
JJ's
window.
notes.
You know,
Yeah. No, JJ wrote that down.
When I interviewed Ryan Coogler for Sinners, he brought up Salem's Lot, the book, which is an incredible book, as like a book about like you don't realize that everyone's fucking turning into a Dracula until like so it's almost over.
Blah, blah, blah.
Right. And I was like, yeah. And then the TV thing. And he was like, I've honestly actually never seen the TV thing. And I was like, right. But, and then at the same time, we were like, the boy at the window. I was like, everyone's seen that.
Everyone knows the
like,
boy at the
everyone knows
window.
that one scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets recommended for that. Weir passes.
He's kind of skeptical of making the Hollywood jump at that point in time.
Yeah. He's kind of like, perhaps wisely, like, I don't think I can handle like jumping from this quiet indie, off the grid Australian nascent film scene to like the horrors of harsh Hollywood, right? Makes sense. He's like, I like to write my own material. I know I'll probably film abroad one day, but I think I need to build up some more confidence. I mean, good for him. So, obviously Australia is pretty still tough to make a movie. You gotta really scrape your money together, right? It's like a little bit of government money, a little bit of like, random little companies and stuff like that.
But the Australian New Wave is also basically developing in like perfect tandem parallel with his career. Like he said, as he made each successive film in his career, the industry around him had leveled up. And the amount of money that people were willing to invest into movies and the government grants and all of that kept leveling up at the exact same pace that his ambitions were growing.
He, in 1971, made a little trip to Tunisia. Cool. Saw some Roman ruins and was very like sort of seized by it and was like digging up stone thinking like, I'm going to find like a head.
He felt a premonition.
Right. And then he says he finds like a chunk of stone that was first attached to a head. Must have been part of a cupid, he says. He smuggled it out of Tunisia, which is kind of a,
I just wanted to alert you
kind
to
of a
this.
soft crime.
I know
would
you
say.
might feel like anything in the dossier is homework, classic Ben Kryptonite. But in fact, this anecdote is about Peter Weir stealing ruins.
So cool.
He got it dated at the University of Sydney and it confirmed where he still has it, or at least at the time it was like on his desk or whatever. So he's like, I'm a pretty pragmatic guy. And yet I felt like I had like a weird premonition. And that's why I did that insane thing. So what if that's like the origin of an
starting
idea
point.
for a movie?
Yes.
What an odd guy. That's a weird way to describe.
Do you know what's a weird thing we've uncovered, BenDavid, in doing these first couple of episodes? Do you know that Peter Weir was like very involved in sketch comedy?
Oh,
That he like performed, wrote, and directed sketch comedy when he was young. I think like started in college, but extended outside of it.
And it was his early work in filmed arts.
so he's the original Jordan Peele?
Kind of. And then his filmmaking is like, oh, this is like an interesting medium that can combine all these different things I've done. Like, you know, I've done photography, I've worked with actors, I've performed. But it's funny because even the movies he has made that are comedic do not feel like they come from someone with a background in sketch comedy. In a way, I would argue like Kreger and Peele have kind of like sketch comedy machinery built into their storytelling motors.
But there's not comic timing built into the editing, even in a droll way of Weir stuff. Like, you know, Truman Show is almost anti-comedy in a way where it's undercutting any possible laughs you could get.
Correct.
That's fascinating.
You see like Kreger and Peele construct horror set pieces with a kind of sketch comedy brain for structure and timing.
When he's making TV, Luke's Kingdom, which I don't think was sketch comedy, but one of his early TV things, he met, and I want to get it, I'm not totally sure how to say his name, but David Gulpilil. I mean, Gulpilil is how it's sort of
Gallipoli.
looks.
That's the name of his next picture.
Who had been in Walkabout. Obviously, that's like his, you know, breakout role, which is an incredible movie, the Nicholas Roeg movie, Walkabout. But so he meets him there. And initially, Weir had been conceiving of this sort of mystical project of his as being about like Incan ruins or whatever. And he starts talking to him about like, you know, Aboriginal people and their, you know, their culture and their religion and like whatever. And he's like, I've never really fucking, you know, delved into this, despite being Australian. Like, I don't know much about this.
The movie feels like him forcing himself to do the work that the character is doing.
Right. Yes.
Like the process of making the movie is like a self-imposed, like, I need to think more deeply about the land I'm standing on.
I'm quoting Weir here, but he gets drunk with a guy and he says, Gulpilil married a detribalized woman, moved her to the city, became an actor. He broke his tribal laws. In the course of our conversation, he said something like this: last week, my wife was very upset with me because of the great space, because the great space had left me and there I stood. And that was because the moon was there. I thought maybe I'd had too much to drink and I asked him to repeat that. And he repeated the same thing. And then he's repeated it a third time. It turned out the premonitions were very ordinary for him, and I became very excited. And I was confronted by a basic error that I made in my assessment of tribal Aboriginals, that they perceived life the way I did. So he's very suddenly drawn to collaborating with him and like writing it about, you know, people in Australia, the country he lives in.
And all the Aboriginal actors he cast in this film were very involved in the script from the moment they were hired. He basically was like, tell me what I don't know.
That actor was also on The Leftovers, which was heavily inspired by a bunch of weird movies. Too.
He's he's in Rabbit Proof Friend. He's in Crocodile Dundee. I didn't get a small role.
He's in Australia and Faraway Downs.
He's in Australia, I think, by law. I think everyone in the cast of that movie, like, they were like, get all the Australian actors.
I thought Australia was a miniseries on Hulu.
Well, that's Faraway Downs. It has a different title.
No. Oh, does it?
Yes, it does.
He made a movie called Charlie's Country like about 10 years ago that he won like every Australian acting prize for, a movie that I think did not really cross over, but was a big deal in Australia. It was kind of a, like, the Australian film industry being like, we recognize the wealth of your career and all this. And,
it was his
kind of his fucking
Color of Money.
True Grit.
Sure, True Grit.
Whatever.
He died fairly recently?
He died in 2021.
Richard Chamberlain died like in the last year at 90.
Yeah,
David,
I did it.
David, this is actually...
I took him down.
This is the single worst place to confess that.
Being recorded? No, he died, never married and had no children.
Richard Chamberlain?
Yeah.
He came out late in life, but he was a kind of don't ask, don't tell Hollywood, barely closeted man who did, in his memoirs, I think in the early 2000s,
he finally was sort of like, by the way, this is a thing. So anyway, he starts to crack this story, brings on Tony Morfitt, who'd worked on Luke's Kingdom, to write it with him, and then Petru Popescu, who had worked with Weir before, was brought in to make the script more appealing to potential investors, make it more commercial, I think, basically. Maybe their script is too weird and he kind of cleans it up, although I think it's still a little weird.
Yeah, he's got the McElroy brothers who produced the first 2 movies on board with this.
Sure.
In between podcasting and tabletop campaigns.
Indeed. And so they all get to work on it. Weir admits, he could never really figure out the ending of this movie.
Well, I think he kind of cracked it by just ending with a big ass wave.
He said, I didn't really find a solution to the problem of how to end it. There is no ending. I was kind of painted into a corner. And you try to be clever. I tried a couple other endings that stopped short of a wave. They were too neat. And so he decided to end with a big old wave.
I think the ending works. I wonder for him,
I mean,
he's just sort of like, I didn't have the resources to show more of an apocalypse.
I think it's the kind of ending that is going to send a bunch of your audience out going like, right. Like, not going out being like, you got to see this movie I just saw. Like, it's definitely a head scratcher.
But it's an ending that
evocative.
Definitively answers something is happening, which is kind of all the movie needs to make good on, in my mind, to conclude properly.
I think the part of the ending that I struggle with is I don't really think they like set up and pay off the cyclical nature of like opening with someone stealing these relics and then him trying to steal them and then killing the guy in the process. Like, it feels very kind of out of nowhere that he's so determined to bring those things out with him, or like his intention behind doing it doesn't really track. I like the idea of that kind of biblical comeuppance where he gets trapped, and the more he gets trapped, he keeps dropping the things until he has nothing left. Like, that feels like a good idea. I don't love that stuff, but what I do love is the titular last wave. I like that.
I agree with that. I think that's a good point. I also would say my criticism of the ending would be knowing that they specifically brought extra writers in to try to help this movie appeal to American audiences with a kind of Hollywood viewpoint. Big missed opportunity to not have Stitch hanging 10 on that wave. He's one of our biggest stars. The man's consistent box office gold.
I struggle with this joke.
You end with a Stitch cameo. The thing just,
right there with
the audience walks out cheering. It's not even a joke. It's a great point. The audience is cheering.
He does not.
He's king of the fucking box office.
Sure, he doesn't.
Look at 2025. The numbers don't lie.
But then Peter Weir would have story credit on Lilo and Stitch because he created Stitch.
Good.
That's the way time works.
Good.
That is the way time works. The last wave, Weir does not see it as like an end of the world movie. It's more just like a catastrophe is what he's seeing, right? Like,
it's not a total wipeout.
It's not right. It's not like total apocalypse. He also doesn't think it's an occult movie. He's like, I don't want to sound pretentious, but it's spiritual. Like, it's a spiritual movie. It's ambiguous. Like, and here's on what he's going for, mood he's going for. I was frightened by a noise heard outside my window last night, a rasping, inhuman sound which seemed to come from nowhere. That's a fear we've all experienced at one time or another. Some choose to forget such fears. I choose to remember them and use them in my work. I kind of know what he's going for there. And like the creepiest dream in this movie, the one where you're kind of going up the stairs, the noise is kind of like a noise like that like weird noise you're hearing. Very cool. Not like terrifying, but a little unsettling.
Yeah. This movie, right. One of the key things, pillars of this movie is the idea that dreams are method of communication. That they are not abstract processing, but they are an attempt for the universe, for spirits, for souls, for what have you, to be able to communicate something to you in a non-literal way. Kind of like how frequency, there's a radio that allows you to talk to dead people.
So did Frequency invent podcasting, or did I just do a real Bill Simmons bit?
No. Frequency invented podcasting. Peter Weir invented Stitch.
Oh, but they used the CB radio from the past to connect to the future to find out who Stitch was to put Stitch in the finale. See, I thought the joke you were going to make is they should play the song Wipeout at the end.
Yeah, I'll make that joke too.
Okay.
They should play the song Wipeout at the end.
Ooh, Wipeout right now.
Audience would have left cheering.
So I don't know.
Stand by it. I think we're making good points all around.
Okay.
Whole
Maybe it's a mashup and it's like the final wipeout.
Yeah,
So they get a bunch of money.
That's
I'm
really good,
I'm
Ben.
just steamrolling all
Yep,
this. They
please.
get some money. Yanis Films, Southern Australia. It doesn't matter. Come on, Jesus.
it doesn't
this
matter.
is too much. Richard Chamberlain, best known, I would say, is Dr. Kildare on NBC.
They
right?
called him the king of the miniseries.
Sure. Well, that's true.
They
I do
did.
feel like that is because he's in the original Shogun, right? That was a huge show.
He does the Yardbirds after this, which I think comes out of him enjoying his time in Australia.
I think you mean the Thornbirds. The Yardbirds is like the band.
I'm going
right?
to correct JJ's typo here. Hold on one second.
Stop blaming JJ.
Thorn.
Another
Birds.
TV miniseries he did is called Centennial. Not one I know, but that was like a big show in the 70s or whatever. But I have never seen Dr. Kildare, but that was like a show in the 60s, right? Like that was like a popular doctor show in the earlier days of television, right? Does everyone agree with me?
Correct, but also this is the miniseries, which has now basically just become the prestige TV show, was a very powerful thing in the 70s, and he was kind of the go-to leading man.
Right. He's a good-looking guy.
He's a classically
Right.
handsome, broad-shouldered,
Good jaw.
steady-voiced man.
Right.
Yes.
You don't see him and go like, holy shit, this is the best fucking actor I ever saw.
No, but I think he's quite good in this, and it's smart casting because there is something unnerving about watching this guy who just feels like really kind of on top of it, just get a little frazzled and thrown off
He's
center.
in I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
No, what does he play?
He plays... He's pretty buried in it. Councilman Banks.
He's not buried in it. He thrives in it.
Thank
Does
you.
he?
I imagine he must be presiding over the court.
There's definitely some...
I think he gives
some
like a
weddings.
speech, like where he's like, "You two have done great things."
Thank you
It-
for solving
The things.
marriage.
Because that is a movie that at the end they're like, and you guys are heroes too for
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, people applaud them. in
You're
the
not
street.
gay, but
No.
you are heroes.
You know who's the heroes is Alexander Payne
And Jim Taylor.
for
Yeah.
getting writing credit on that.
So Richard Chamberlain, he's an American actor, but the Australian sort of press was a little grumpy, I think, about the fact that this movie didn't star an Australian. And like Weir is just kind of like, I don't know, like he's a famous guy and he was good in the movie. Like he's no hangups about casting Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah,
The right look.
Yeah.
he does. It also does sound like he, in not wanting to try to make the jump over to Hollywood movies, he was trying to figure out the way to make his movies play more in the States. Like it felt like that was a defensive chess move of, if my movies can have some North American box office pull, then perhaps I can stay in Australia for even longer.
Right. I mean, which cool.
Right. Richard Chamberlain's like the cheapest version of a leading man you can get because he's not as much a movie guy while feeling very comfortable to American audiences.
Yes. So,
I think he's quite good in this.
I think he knew that
He's good. I
someday
think
he
he's up
was
to
going
it.
to be in Twin Peaks, and that was a good reason to put him in there.
Yes, that's also, yes. Well, Stitch told him.
So more important, I think, is that we are like meets with the sort of Aboriginal Cultural Foundation in Darwin, Australia. And basically like the vibe, he's like, you can't just like show up and be like, anyway, I'm making a movie. Can you like show me some guys? Like, can you introduce me to the right people? Like, you got to be like, here's the story I want to tell. Does this, is this palatable? Is this interesting to people? Like you want to be very sensitive and respectful. And so he's, introduced to people. He attends a sort of dance group and, he kind of just like keeps quiet and observes and talks and reads more. Look, there's a lot of things in this dossier that I'm just not going to get it. It's too much, JJ.
Just a lot of factual errors.
It's just, look, he did a lot of work finding the right actors. Okay. I'm sorry. It's so
flooded
much.
with information.
There we go.
And obviously he already knew David Gulpilil because he'd worked with him before. They shot the movie. Russell Boyd shoots it. His go-to cinematographer.
It's always Russell Boyd or John Seal.
Right. John Seal is sort
Two
of initially, I think, Boyd's number two. That's how they meet. And then, of course, becomes a legendary cinematographer in his own right.
Boyd, a relationship that runs through to Master and Commander.
Yeah, he wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
It's the only tech Oscar that Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King was not nominated for.
Yes. No, I remember.
Which was crazy.
Because it won every single category.
And
Yes.
Andrew Lesnie is an Australian cinematographer, right?
He is, and he has won, obviously, for Fellowship. And I think he was like, I don't know. It's so weird that he wasn't nominated for, it doesn't matter.
But I remember that night watching the Oscars.
Lord of the Rings, 11 out of 11.
But cinematography having this weird tension to it where you're like, this is the only category we can't predict because it's the one you can't put Return of the King down for.
Yeah, exactly. And he deservedly won an Oscar there. Obviously, with Last Wave, he goes blue.
He was working quite blue in this film.
They're going for a real blue look.
Yep.
That's actually something Peter Weir talks about in his interviews of the movie, is that he wanted Picnic to have golden light and for this one to have blue light.
I think
nailed it.
Assignment nailed.
Yeah.
The Raining Frogs, they wanted to try and initially film like Black Rain, like the phenomenon of Black Rain, could not afford how to, like, they were like, we don't know how we would do that and it's too expensive.
Yeah, they tried Chubby Rain, but it felt like it threw off the mood, the tone of the movie. It was too funny.
Here's how they filmed the Raining Frogs. Someone got in a ladder and threw some frogs on the fucking ground.
It's
and they
fucking magic of movies.
I can't believe they ripped off Magnolia.
How many ladders were used? I know there's no film set without a couple ladders, but did you feel like you had any ladder-aided gags in your new movie?
I had,
good question.
So the thing when I watch this, what I think of, well, two things. One, I grew up in Phoenix, which had like severe monsoon seasons, and I was driving to see American Beauty at a press screening because I was a 16-year-old film critic for the Arizona Republic for a little bit.
You were saying this, that you had a radio show as a teenager and you lost your slot when your voice broke and they no longer
When my voice changed, I got fired because I no longer sounded like a kid, and then I never got hired for work like that again.
Did you have a catchy name like Lights, Camera, Jackson?
No, I had a catchy name, BenDavid Grabinski.
It is
pretty catchy.
It lodges in the memory.
You sort of, unless you get to the end of a pod and realize there's a Ben and David already.
But it wasn't like BenDavid Grabinski versus Green.
Well, I was seeing American Beauty, and I was driving, and you couldn't see 2 inches in front of the windshield because the way the monsoon rain would be then is it feels like the rain scenes in this movie were like, it's completely obstructing your vision.
I have driven in those kinds of conditions.
I had to pull off the road and wait for it to stop raining.
Right.
But the other thing I think of is that I had a rain machine on a project, which I will not name. And they said we couldn't afford it because we were over budget. And I said, well, how much is my trailer? And my trailer was more than a rain machine. So they said, fine, we can have a rain machine. After I gave up my trailer, I found out that we were under budget by $500,000.
God fucking damn it.
So that's what I think of whenever I see rain in a movie, as me being petty about someone lying to me about the budget.
And then the problem is during lunch, you have to take naps on top of a rain machine.
Now,
I actually did.
When you don't have a trailer, what do you do? Where do you go?
I just answered he takes naps on top of the rain machine.
Well, I'm a man of the people, so I'm just going to...
He said he did. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm going to just, sit and hang out. You just have no place to nap. You always have a place to go. There's always chairs.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've never napped because if I napped, then it would just be over.
Not a good napper.
When I'm directing, I have to, like, at lunch, like, especially if I'm writing it, to like go over the pages and like work out stuff at a place where like no one will find me. But on that thing, I was a showrunner and it was live action, so I've already given away what it was. But I didn't need the trailer, and no one really does. But in that case, it was just like finding out. That's like the weird thing. It's like, oh, a rain machine costs like $36,000 for a day or something. And so this movie, I think they had infinity dollars for their rain budget.
The rain budget's insane. You brought up Coogler, Sims, weirdly, for unrelated reasons.
Sure.
I was thinking a lot, not having seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
The way water is depicted feels very similar to me to what Coogler does in Wakanda Forever.
Movie I like a lot.
A movie that is all over the place, but has stuff in it that I think about a lot. And the main thing is the way he uses the device of like when Namor and people are coming, that water just starts like pooling in areas.
I love all of that shit.
That
in
shit's
Wakanda Forever.
incredible.
Yeah.
And this movie has the like when the water is pooling out of the car radio, just the eeriness of like water flooding through in places it shouldn't, with a looming dread.
Did that remind you guys of the opening of 8.5? like this car stuff. For some reason, it reminds me.
That's a
of
movie
that.
I've not seen in a long time.
Well, it's funny because 8.5 is a movie that I only really strongly remember two things: is the opening, like when he's in a car and he's like the way that it's lit and shot, where he's like surrounded by other cars and you sort of feel trapped. And then the dancing scene that I think they also did in Brothers.
I remember when he's a balloon.
Yeah, circus.
That's
at
the same
end.
scene. And that one he floats away, and then someone like has to pull him down. But the way that the car stuff in the opening of 8.5 is shot reminds me of those scenes, like when he's in his car and you feel like the world is so oppressive. You know,
it's just funny that that's kind of like an early art film that a lot of people are shown because it's so famous. And so I was probably like 16 or something, or 15 when I
Probably
saw it.
same. Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I really relate to this story of like kind of a middle-aged Italian director being like, maybe I've made it too many movies.
Yeah.
the art movie
Yeah, it is
everyone
tough making your 20th picture after you've been heralded a genius for decades.
And every woman alive from birth to death wants to fuck you.
That does suck.
it's relatable.
People keep trying to like smother me in their giant pendulous breasts.
I'd say the two
Don't I relate
the
to
two
this?
art movies that everyone sees as a teen
Yeah.
is
Yes.
8.5 and Clifford.
Yeah.
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 Thought you were going to say Seven Samurai, but yeah, Clifford, you're right.
Which are both kind of depictions of the burden of genius
Yeah.
and success.
I mean,
They're both movies about a stinker.
They are.
Clifford is a burden. We cannot deny this.
I don't
But
even.
talented.
He's talented. He's very talented. He's an artist.
And where
in
does
his
he
own
want
way.
to go?
Dinosaur Land.
That's right.
Yeah.
Both movies have a dinosaur theme park in them.
Thank God Clifford never came across a pair of giant pendulous Italian breasts. I don't even want to know what he would
That
have
was
done.
the sequel, the entire premise.
In the last wave, the opening's actually super evocative, where it's like just this little town, kids playing on the street,
Yes.
and then weird like rainfall starts, and then like fucking golf ball hail starts happening.
It takes quite
smashing the windows
a bit before the story starts in earnest.
Right.
There's a
It's a
lot
real
of just
mood
kind
setter.
of yes,
Like-
immersing you in the various scenes.
This
Yeah.
is where we are. We're in this town.
Mhm.
We're not in like Sydney. We're not in like, sort of more built up Australia. And weird shit is happening, and it's not like deadly, but everyone is a little like thrown.
There's a weird amount of water.
Yes.
Shit's getting wet.
Y'all ever been in like true like golf ball hail?
Yes.
London gets it a lot. It's really weird.
There was a moment in between us traveling for shows that Connor Ratliff, Patrick Kottner, and I were in a car together going from one George Lucas talk show to another, where like it went from 0 to 100. It was dry, and then suddenly the rain started coming down like last wave hard, and I cite it as the closest I've come in my life to feeling like I was about to die. There was a moment where all three of us tensed up.
Who was driving?
Patrick Kottner.
Oh dear.
Well, if I was driving, we would have
Disaster.
already been dead.
Well, yes.
Can't
I
drive
wasn't
a car.
saying you should be driving.
No. Patrick was driving, and the rain started coming down really hard, really furious. The windshield wipers could not combat it. And we were on a freeway, and every car you could see was panicking at the same time. And it just felt like any one of us could kind of like lose control and then start like a 20-car pileup. And then like we just in silence, all tensed up. 5 minutes later, it just stopped cold out of nowhere. And we all breathed and we're like, oh, I was ready to
Bit
die.
of a
I thought
Truman
it was
Show moment.
about to.
You said you were gay.
I did. It
What
was
do
also an
people
almost
say in
famous
Almost
moment.
Famous? Yeah, right.
You have to respect the wind, like Van Halen said in the song from Twister.
That
And
was the
that's
problem.
That was the problem.
I wasn't, right. And I hadn't seen Twisters yet, so I hadn't considered that you could ride it.
Had you seen Lilo and Stitch?
I had that little alien. They say he's all bad, but actually I think there's some good in him.
So weird shit is happening. Heavy rainfall, frogs, other anomalies. Local Aboriginal people in this town seem spooked. And during one of these rainstorms, there's a fight and somebody dies. But it's all pretty mysterious.
And by town, we're talking Sydney.
Well, the first like sequence is not in Sydney. This is the schoolhouse. The bar fight, I think, is in Sydney, right?
Yeah, the tunnel.
Okay,
I know
yes,
the
yes.
tunnels are in Sydney, like the
Yes.
underground stuff. And I know that Sydney is where they shot Mission Impossible 2.
Sure.
They shot this
I mean, a lot of
mostly
movies got shot down there.
in Adelaide.
Is that right?
But it seems like it was mostly a weather issue when
And
they were
Sydney.
planning on shooting in Sydney.
I don't know much about Adelaide, but I'll admit I don't know much about a lot of places in Australia. Let's see where it is.
Wasn't that a
Adelaide.
Blake Lively, Harrison Ford movie?
I don't know much about
Adelaide.
Adelaide.
Adelaide?
Yeah.
Right. So Adelaide is in South Australia, right? It's on the in the sort of middle of the country, on the southern side. I don't know much about it. Huh. Looks nice. Every Australian city always just looks so sunny and pretty.
I believe they had an issue where there was actually too much rain in Sydney, so they went to Adelaide so that they could control the fake rain more.
Right. I mean, makes sense. You actually do need to be able to control it.
What's it with Australian directors having production problems because of rain?
I think probably the through line there is that Australia is crazy.
It rains a lot.
Is the spiky car from the Cars That Ate Paris, did that inspire the car in Fury Road? Did you
Yes.
guys figure that out?
It's a direct homage.
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
sick.
Inspired all of Mad Max.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
George
yeah.
Miller sees
Right.
it and is like, oh, what if you built a whole fucking movie out of this?
Miller seeing it is inspired to make the first Mad Max, which is why in Fury
Right.
Road he's like, I want to
Let me
pay
bring it full
homage to the
circle.
goat.
Yeah.
When that spiky car showed up, I was like, wow.
Those guys rock.
You know what's also
They're
crazy?
silly.
Fact that we forgot to bring up. Do you know that the Doof Warrior was a PA on the Cars That Ate Paris? That was his first credit before he realized what he wanted to do. He's just interested in films. Ben has thrown
Ben's
his
leaving.
headphones down.
Ben's
and
out.
He has handed in his 2 weeks
Ben
notice.
Hosley is out.
We'll miss you, Ben.
He is serving me with papers.
So the character of David Burton, played by Richard Chamberlain, is a lawyer, but the end sort of essentially is like assigned right to this murder case to defend one of the men, maybe all of the men, definitely to defend Chris.
Yeah, all
David
five of them. Because they say if one
Right.
of them doesn't show up, then the
Right.
trial's over or something.
There's something extremely sort of obscure and bureaucratic about Australian law that like he is a tax lawyer, not a criminal defense lawyer, but because of the divide between like indigenous people and European settlers, colonizers, like he gets assigned the case. This is discussed in the movie. It was a little over my head.
Same. It's through a quirk of the Australian legal aid system. I mean, this is sort of what I was getting at earlier.
It's essentially just that's why he's an outsider, like especially an outsider.
But these like weird circumstances in which colonialists come in and pose their view of how a society should be structured onto a land that is not theirs, and then like a century
they're
later,
bringing Western law to a dispute that, for one, all the accused just like do not want to talk about what happened.
But then like centuries later, these countries start to go like, oh fuck, do we gotta like own up to what our ancestors did? And then they start to carve out rules of like, well, this doesn't apply to you because we've been disrespectful to your customs and your traditions. So everything is sort of, yes, there's some weird quirk of the system where through the legal aid system in Australia, now a tax lawyer has to represent a murder case.
Do we know why John Grisham never did cosmic horror?
Incredibly good question.
I mean, besides the Christmas movie with the cranks, the book was called
that is the
Surviving
answer.
Christmas.
It was,
I think.
yes, but also in the book, they're not the cranks, they're the Cthulhus.
So David's having, I'm steamrolling this. So David's having
Thank you.
weird dreams on top of this case, and he is seeing Chris,
Yes.
the Gulpilil character,
Yes.
in his dreams.
Sees him prior to first meeting him.
Correct.
Yes.
And it is spooky. And that is the vibe of the movie until the end. I'm not saying other things don't happen. Other things do happen. But what I just described is kind of what the movie's about. It's David being like, something feels weird and I'm having weird dreams. What's going on? And these people largely are sort of like, we don't want to talk about it and it's kind of none of your business. And he's like,
yes.
I know, but I'm having these weird dreams. And they're like, well, that is weird and that is interesting, but I don't know, man. Like, it's like a lot of that.
It is kind of fascinatingly a like anti-white savior movie or like inverted white savior movie in a way where it's like, oh, here's like a noble, square-jawed, very conventional white lawyer who is assigned to a case to prove the innocence of Aboriginal men. And the worst version of this movie you've seen 20 times is he's like, I've learned that you are a person. And he gives some 20-minute monologue arguing that they have feelings and thoughts. And he teaches people how to end racism. And Linda Cardellini is the heart of the movie, right?
Well, the only thing I want to bring up that I'm sure is already in the dossier is when Charlie comes over for dinner. somebody says that law is like the most important thing in their culture. And the guy who played Charlie,
whose name is Nanjwara Amagula.
Yes. Because he was not an actor, and when he agreed to be in the movie, his only stipulation was that they represent that within the movie, because that was something very important to him to convey within the movie, is that in his culture, the law of their tradition superseded everything, which I thought was interesting, because that moment does feel very authentic to something when they convey that.
I was going to say, the moment where he meets the clients, and especially Chris, he basically goes like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm not crazy that like none of this makes sense, right? Like he just owns up to, I fucking don't know what movie I'm in. And they're sort of like, you're not ready for this shit.
Right. The dinner scene that BenDavid is referencing, according to Peter Weir, was sort of constructed by Gulpilil and Nanjwara. Like, and he put in all the lines about the law and all that stuff. And Weir was just kind of like, I kind of let them do it. And they're kind of just talking to Richard Chamberlain. And I kind of just let him talk and then called cut. You know what I mean? Rather than like, let's do the script.
Oh,
it was
sure.
like, you guys just tell him, try to explain this to him.
I say this from the perspective of a white man who knows nothing of what this movie is about in real life.
You disgust me.
Thank you. I'll take the hit. But this does feel like a good example of a know what you don't know endeavor.
Yeah, right.
Like it feels like everything you read, and it is entirely possible there are huge missteps in this movie that I am oblivious to.
I think no. But I think they sort of were taken away from making missteps by the actors.
And certainly when you read about the process, it felt like he was very open in that of, I can write the white man part of the movie. I do not want to impose something on here. You tell me what this should be, and let them sort of take a lot of authorship over their scenes.
Like Weir says at one point, they were like, hey, so what are some like tribal symbols we can use for all the like tribal symbol shit? And Nanjwara was like, you absolutely are forbidden from using any real tribal symbols. We can make some up.
Yeah.
You know, like we won't be using anything real.
That dinner scene and that subplot is something I always love in his movie. Like in God Told Me To or Devil's Advocate or something, when like the lead character thinks that there's nothing about them besides just being kind of the guy. And someone's like starts to say things about like their past and like where they came from. And they're starting to be like, wait, hold on, what? Like I always love feeling like the ground beneath lead characters start to get unsettled, where they feel like they understand everything about themselves. And then they start to realize they don't.
In Devil's Advocate, I don't know what you're talking about. The guy gets a job at a law firm. The boss seems normal to me. Very successful.
Yeah, he learned something about himself and his heritage or something.
Big personality, I guess.
What's his name in that again?
John Milton.
Right.
Which I really love.
Right. Because Angel Heart is Lou Cipher.
Yeah, that one was maybe a little on the nose.
One of my favorite things about that movie is they shot in Trump's apartment, and they picked it because it was so ugly and terrible. And when he was there,
only Satan himself would want to live here.
And I guess Trump was like, "I'm so glad you want to show the place." And Tony Gilroy's like, "I don't know how to tell him we did it because it's like so fucking ugly."
I mean, it's the great like fucking Mulaney bit of Donald Trump feeling like the way a rail riding hobo in a 30s movie would describe a rich person.
Imagining a rich person, yes.
Everything in his house is gold, and his hair is made of yarn.
Yes. Yeah.
Or made of cotton candy.
Fine gold silk.
Fine gold silk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've listened to that bit too many times. So they make the movie and it's good. Let's talk more about the movie. So BenDavid, can you talk more about the movie, please?
I feel like I've talked way too much already.
I can't tell if you're being facetious or not.
I don't know. Ben keeps looking at me like mouthing "shut the fuck up."
Ben's
which
actually
is like
looking
so
at his phone right now. I think he's watching another movie, or maybe he's
I'm watching The
Last Wave.
The Last Wave.
Again?
Well, because I'm just scrubbing through the plot.
Okay.
Trying to, be a good producer.
Yeah, but we haven't gotten anything wrong yet, so.
No.
So, look, I mean, essentially, again, look.
The rest of the movie is a bunch of cascading dreams and real life stuff, and then a wave comes.
So there's this, the first thing I ever, like many, I think non-Australian Westerner especially, the first thing I ever fucking learned about Aboriginal people was the book or movie Walkabout. I read the book when I was like 12, and then I saw the movie, and the whole thing in that movie and book is that the Aboriginal boy who finds it's about these British kids who crash land in the outback and like their parent dies and they meet an Aboriginal and they like sort of survive it. Have you seen Walkabout?
I've seen Walkabout. Yeah, I've heard
and
the
obviously
book, but I've
there's
seen the
this
movie.
crazy
Yeah.
sexual undercurrent going on and like, but like that,
Very good director.
that like the major plot point is that she kind of looks at the guy wrong and he's just like, you've essentially sort of marked me, and he just goes to die. And like that is sort of what Richard Chamberlain is putting together in this movie, right? Of like, did somebody die because someone pointed to, like a bone at him, essentially? Like, like, is this a sort of like ritual, mystical death that's rooted in like a culture I do not understand? And everyone's basically like, we don't talk about it with you.
Right.
Rather than like, yes, let's tell us the secrets. They're like, it's not for you to know. Stop putting us into your system.
He's sensing that there seems to be some kind of unified code to their silence.
Yes.
And their refusal to really even engage
also,
in conversation.
Stitches. I mean, come on.
Well, the offender we see steal some kind of stones and give them to some unidentified person. There's some kind of arrangement, and then he ends up at a bar, and this is where they have the confrontation, and then he has the bone pointed at him and ends up dying.
Right. In a sort of, I mean, they say he drowned, but like it's very mysterious.
Well,
he drowned in like a puddle.
He broke the laws of their world, which
Right.
supersede our stupid laws. For the guy in the wig.
Well, also their whole attitude is just sort of like, throw whatever the fuck you want us. This isn't what's real, They seem a little kind of like they refuse to accept the Western rules of law that are being imposed on them. Yeah.
Wait, so who's a worse lawyer, this guy or the lawyer in JFK?
This guy, he's really bad. The lawyer in JFK is just crazy. God bless him, Jim Garrison.
The worst lawyer is the lawyer and the judge.
I don't know. Troy McClure.
I think you're confusing Troy McClure and
The judge. The
Lionel
judge
Hutz
is about a
not-
lawyer.
Ben. Hold on. I'm sorry, BenDavid. Just
Fuck.
sidebar for one
I'm
second.
so embarrassed.
Ben, that's like rough because that's the first incorrect thing that's been said on this episode, and you don't have JJ to take the fall for this.
All right, I'll put on my dunce cap.
No, I just think whatever we got to do in the edit, we can cover this up. We can all agree to just never speak of this ever again.
I'm watching this movie and I do start to think like, okay, this is going to end up being a sort of a legal drama where this, world that Richard Chamberlain's character does not understand kind of gets dragged into the courtroom, and it's sort of like a lot of things get like sifted through in the courtroom. That is not what happens. Instead, he loses his court case. Like, you see, there's a scene in the courtroom where he's trying essentially to kind of make that happen, and it doesn't really work. Like, and then the rest of the movie is him like increasingly being like, I am having weird visions that something weird is going to happen.
I feel like we landed on this in Picnic at Hanging Rock of saying like this movie feels so unique in his filmography. It's not really the vibe of the rest of his films. And then we realized he basically has 4 different versions of a reality collapse movie in his career. It's these 2 back to back. It's Fearless, I would argue.
Sure.
And Truman Show is obviously one of the most extreme versions and now has become like a shorthand for a psychological phenomenon of this is fake.
You live in a simulation.
But this movie feels like in its own quiet way, very similar to Truman Show, where that like meeting these guys basically causes the light to fall out of the sky for him. And then he's just hyper fixated on like, tell me what the fuck's going on. Because I've been kind of feeling this.
We won't, but you do seem to be they use the word mulcural, right? Like it's sort of like you seem to be somehow descended from, a shaman or someone who's connected to the dreaming, the parallel world, like the whatever, like the sort of like our more deeper understanding of reality.
And he still wants to find a way to get them acquitted, but it does feel like it is a secondary concern in the movie to how do I get them to explain what's going on to me.
Well, he thinks he's helping, which is that classic failed thing where he's like, they tell me they don't want me to do this defense. Everyone tells me not to do this, but I know better and no good comes from it.
Don't you also think it's sort of a lie he's telling himself where he's saying, look, you need to tell me so I can help you be absolved of this crime. But in reality, he's just like, I need fucking answers.
I do think he means well because he like makes that guy drop off who wanted them to plead guilty. Yeah. But again, that could just be ego too, of like that's like a failure.
The reason I notice the South American thing so much is there's the dinner table scene where his wife says, I'm a 4th generation Australian. I've never met an Aborigine, right? Which is such a like telling statement for someone to identify as a 4th generation Australian and being like, okay, you're like,
I think in 1977, you're basically saying like, I mean, 4th is probably about as far back as you go.
Correct.
If you're a white person in Australia.
Right. And you're just sort of like, I'm a 4th generation Australian, considering the idea that Australia starts when my first relative landed here, and that reality before that doesn't exist. And I have never engaged with the indigenous population of the country, the continent that my family has lived in for now over a century. And he is from a different place, but with a very similar energy, that he, even if he moved here very early and he does have like a nationalized identity and an Australian accent that I nailed in the introduction, that it's not his home fundamentally in the same sense that she's taking pride in the idea of being a 4th generation Australian, as if that gives her some cultural weight, and that it feels like he is never totally settled in this place ever. It's why I thought South African, because I was like, that's kind of an interesting analog. But I was wrong about it, and JJ will apologize publicly.
Are you guys into folk horror?
JJ did a lot, and he did the fucking Troy McClure thing. Yeah, we're just gonna fucking fix it in the edit.
Does this count as folk horror?
It's close.
Yeah, I mean, if you call this movie horror. I don't know what else.
I think that this is too fancy to be like horror per se, but I think it's incredibly effective horror filmmaking.
Wikipedia calls it a mystery drama, which is, I mean, is also a fair attempt. It's a bit of a tough one to nail down genre-wise.
It's interesting. You said
because it's not really a thriller.
Because it's almost like an elevated horror.
But this is an example I always say of like, I wish every fancy director made a horror movie, and Peter Weir has a bunch of movies that almost qualify as existential horror. There's just something about someone who's just very good at their job tackling that, or not feeling like they're above those things.
It's similar to me to Synecdoche, New York, coming out of Amy Pascal saying to Spike Jonze and Charlie Kaufman, it'd be interesting to see you guys try to make a horror movie together. And then like 2 years later, he hands in that script and she's like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but good luck. And this feels like you say, Peter Weir, like, try writing your own horror movie. And he's like, here's what upsets me.
That's the thing. He's kind of like, I am troubled by this idea. Right. Is anyone else?
Right. This is a movie about me feeling haunted.
Like, kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas Picnic and Hanging Rock is sort of the same vibe in a way. It's not his personal, because it's based on a book and it's based on someone else's weird feeling. That one comes out and everyone's like, ooh, this is spooky deeply in a way that's never been like put on movies in film before.
Yes.
Wait, can I tell you guys a horrific thing that happened to me last night?
Please.
So I saw the movie Iron Lung.
How is that?
Well, let me tell you. Okay. When it was over, something really like cosmic and insane happened. So I left. I saw it with my friend Taylor, a fan of the show. And,
Hi, Taylor. The great Taylor.
Taylor Levy. And I was leaving the theater. And I reached into my pocket, the Village 7 AMC.
Absolutely.
On the 5th floor.
a mildly haunted theater, I would say.
I left the theater. I'm a couple blocks away. I reach into my pocket to take out these wireless soundproof Sony headphones. And in my pocket were two of them.
We're not getting paid for that. There were two sets of headphones?
The exact same headphones, same brand,
noise
same color. These are in multiple colors.
Right.
And I reach into my pocket and there's two pairs. And I my brain almost explodes. There's an actual photo of me reacting in real time because I'm like, this seems made up. And the movie is very kind of the last 20 minutes of the movie are a very mindfuck thing. And there's double headphones in my pocket. I don't own another pair. There's no one in my household has another pair. And I have two. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? So like, I'm like, what do I do now? So I check and one of them is paired to my phone and one's not. And I'm like, these must be from the theater, but I don't know how. So we walk all the way back to the theater and find some young, like 20-something girl in the lobby freaking out because she can't find her headphones.
Wow.
So what had happened was she walked by and dropped her headphones onto my coat that was on the seat next to me.
And then you assumed.
And then when I got up to pick up my coat, my headphones were there and I put them in my pocket. And then if I hadn't, I could have gotten all the way home with those and been haunted for the rest of my life about why there was 2 of the exact same model of headphones in my pocket. So I'm just saying, I feel a lot like a character. I felt like a character in one of these existential.
That would also
movies.
spook me. I still want to know how the movie is.
I also want to know.
I'm seeing it tomorrow.
I want to know if Amy Pascal asked you to write and direct a horror movie, is that what you'd pitch?
Okay, so what I would say about Iron Lung is Iron Lung has like a really, really dense kind of lore to it that felt very like, oh, well, this is from the video game.
Sure, it's based on video game,
and it's the storytelling of it is very kind of like outsider art in the way it like tries to explain the exposition. And that's a nice way of saying I didn't understand 70% of the exposition. So afterwards, I was like, well, this must be just directly from the game. So I want to go watch a playthrough. And a playthrough of the whole game is 70 minutes and the movie's more than 2 hours long. And so Taylor watched the 70-minute playthrough and he said, oh, there's no lore in the game. It's just you're in a submarine and you're just like trying to get a fish and sometimes the fish bites you.
Well, that is how life goes.
And it is like the whole thing is like a huge, very, very complicated future, like Lovecraftian style thing that I didn't understand at all. And I'm like, well, if I'll play the game and I'll get it. And it was not from the game. It was based on.
So this sounds like a mildly negative review.
I thought it was very interesting. It was like 70 minutes too long.
It's quite long. It is the one thing I'm seeing it tomorrow out of total interest in just like
I'm really glad I saw it.
Success
I'm really
story
glad
it
I
is
saw
and
it.
all that. But like I do see 125 minutes and I'm like, now hang on a second. Like wait, your YouTube horror movie should be 85 minutes long. That should be a law.
I just want to say if it's about being in a submarine and trying not to get bitten by fish, they should have sent fucking Cogman down there because shit wouldn't have gone down like that.
You were gonna do another Stitch joke.
No, why would I do that? This was a natural tee up for Cogman. The Stitch joke only happens when it's super organic, clean, and is met with gales of laughter.
Is there ever a natural tee up for Cogman?
Yeah, it just happened.
You know what's going to happen is
he goes inside a submarine, he beats fish.
Someone's going to watch my movie now and be like, he thinks he's better than The Last Kiss and Iron Lung. And I'm like, you're right.
You're
I'm
better
sorry.
than The Last Kiss.
And
although if Goldwyn comes for you, I don't know what to tell you.
They're also going to be like...
That would be a scandal.
They're also going to watch your movie and be like, this is on Hulu. Why didn't he put Stitch in it? He's like in the family.
Well, I do open with a song from Oliver and Company.
You do.
So
Dodger, kind of the Stitch of his day. Can you tell David about your current movie watching project for 2026?
Oh, I'm so interested in whatever this is.
Exactly. I'm teeing you up like Cogman.
Project.
Wait, which one is it?
Your
If you have
theatrical.
multiple, I want to hear them all.
I'm seeing every horror movie that is released at my local AMC in 2026. And so far,
Love that.
it has been a choice.
January and February are heavy-duty months
there was
for
like
that challenge.
I've seen like 6 movies already this month. So I'm like an A-list.
So
and
you're
a
going to
legal
see
guy.
Whistle.
Oh, I'm
You're
definitely
gonna blow
going to
that
see
whistle.
So I just watched the first
Pucker
2
up.
Strangers, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, so I can see 3 and have it make sense.
I'm sure it wouldn't have made sense. Yeah.
2 has a part where a boar chases her around for a while and almost eats her. And then you cut to a flashback of a kid with a baby boar and said, someday I will teach this boar to do amazing things.
Is it the same boar from Send Help?
It actually is.
Good reps.
It's a crazy how they like figured out how to do that between 2 different studios.
I hope Strangers Chapter 3 ends with one of them saying, nice to meet you. Like as a full circle. Oh, fuck, they're not strangers
Chapter 1 has the exact same opening as Cobra, where there's 57 deaths every 30 seconds. There's 12 rapes. Like it lists like the exact amount of time and how often crimes happen. I love Rennie. It's great.
Sims, BenDavid and I saw Mercy, aka Chair the movie,
Right.
at 40X.
Are we counting that as horror, or was this separate from that?
It is a
project?
horrifying experience.
I saw your letterbox.
It is one of the most insidious things I've ever seen, even more so than the entire Insidious franchise.
Right.
The opening line of that film, as I quoted my Letterboxd review, is millions had been affected by crime.
No. I hope a guy in a chair can solve this problem.
But this is like replacing the Dent Act for me.
Yeah,
We're
right.
going to outlaw crime. The opening is just voiceover, random guy, never
about
again.
crime.
Millions had been affected by crime.
So I've seen Night Patrol, We Bury the Lead, Primate, Return to Silent Hill,
I'm sorry.
Iron Lungs, Send Help, 28 Years,
Sure,
Bone Temple.
What was the first 2?
Night Patrol and Bury the
Night
Lead.
Patrol, where Justin Long plays a dirty cop vampire.
And you heard?
We Bury the Dead with Daisy Ridley.
Oh, that one I heard. That one I heard was okay. Sort of like a zombie movie.
It was interesting.
Yeah. How was the Justin Long?
It's interesting. It's
Okay.
like it's. I'm glad I saw it. But Return to Silent Hill, I just got to talk about, which is in Return to Silent
Sims
Hill.
has been talking about
So
it.
I love Silent Hill very much. The game.
I do too.
And Silent Hill 2, which I know this is specifically an adaptation of the game Silent Hill 2, which is the best of the games. Would we agree?
Yes.
Yeah. I love Christoph Gans's film, Silent Hill. I think it is the best video game movie ever made.
I think that if you make one change, it is a 10 out of 10 movie.
The second Silent Hill film, I believe it's called Revelation, is very poopy and bad.
Did not see it.
It's no good.
Adelaide
It makes
Clemens.
me sad, if you say so.
Yep.
So then Christoph Gans is announced just making this return to Silent Hill. Now, I haven't heard much from Christoph recently. But I'm still
first film in quite a while.
But I'm still like, hey, he understood the franchise in a way. Like, I'm excited. The movie comes out. My letterbox starts flashing half stars. Like, I'm seeing a lot of
You're getting like
very
Amber
negative
alerts on your phone.
I've seen a couple of people push against this trend. Where do you fall on this film? I haven't seen it yet.
I just have two things to say about it. I'm really glad I saw it. I think that there's some really cool craft and stuff in it. I just have two issues. In it, someone goes by a marquee that has Jacob's Ladder on it. And I think fundamentally, it'd be like if you were at McDonald's and they had like an advertisement for the world's best burger on the wall while you're eating a Big Mac.
Because I mean, Silent Hill is very inspired by the movie
but I'm
Jacob's
just like,
Ladder.
like an asshole move to be like,
but don't
remember that other movie?
Yeah, but don't remind me of a movie.
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
Like that.
Yes,
I
sure.
just had
That
to
might
thinking
be a
like,
mistake.
oh God, I wish I want to see that in the theater. And then the other one was the whole time I'm like, who is this lead guy? And I didn't realize he was the warhorse.
Jeremy Irvine.
Oh,
and I was like, and that's always like an interesting thing for me when you're like, oh,
me neither.
I
Let's correct. He was the war boy, owner of the war horse.
I thought it was very interesting. The first one, the issue is they keep cutting outside of Silent Hill to Sean Bean.
They do. I know. And that was literally a studio note of there are no men in this movie.
But it's like if you're
which
watching,
is one of the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Like in Wizard of Oz, you can't cut to Kansas because then that makes it feel like these things exist simultaneously.
BenDavid, I agree with you that that's a flaw with that movie. I just feel like that movie captures the atmosphere of a video game.
No, I'm saying if it didn't have that, I would defend everything in the movie.
Right.
I would defend everything.
We all have our flaws except for one guy.
But Brotherhood of the Wolf, though, I think is perfect.
That's a cool movie. I mean, I haven't seen it since I was a teenager. But
I haven't seen Bury the Dead, but I really liked that Daisy Ridley horror movie from last year. The one where I read the news story that she was secretly married.
That was good.
I got to tell you.
That was good.
That zagged.
That buried the Stitch joke, and I'm feeling great.
Am I back? Is Griffin funny again? Christopher Hitchens has to rise from the grave to write a new op-ed piece.
Griffin is funny.
Question mark?
The last wave. Guys, please try to help me understand what happens at the end of this movie. I will read to you like what the synopsis says happens after meeting with the shaman of Lee's tribe and learning more about Aboriginal practices and the concept of dreamtime as a parallel world of existence. Burton comes to believe that his dreams dreams of strange heavy rain bode the signs of a coming apocalypse. He senses danger. He makes his wife and kids leave town. There's a crazy flood. And then he goes into subterranean tunnels under the city, which lead to a sacred ritual site. And he sees a lot of paintings that basically confirm the dreams he's been having. Then he leaves and sees a big wave.
You're forgetting also,
Please.
first of all, beautiful reading.
Thank you.
You're forgetting that he also, in a moment that very much feels like the Weir inciting incident story he shares about having the premonition of the head and then stealing it from the cave, he finds a mask that looks exactly like his own face.
Yeah, which, would throw anyone off a little bit.
Would throw me quite off my game.
They keep calling him the Mokuru.
Yes.
Which is a separate race or an ancestry that comes from a different race. It's hard, again, it's very vague, hard to define.
I think
they're
you
purposely
see the priests,
not descriptive.
There's like priests on the wall who warned about the wave last time. So they're basically implying he's like one of those priests who did it on the last cycle.
Sure.
Yes. He's
a descendant of these people in some way.
Interpreter of premonitions, a warner, not a warner brother, one who can warn. But yes, that scene I think is incredible where there's sort of the stare down interrogation of who are you? Who are you? And it uses Richard Chamberlain's kind of like very studied stillness to great effect. because it's like a Meisner exercise where they just keep asking him, who are you? Who are you? Until he kind of breaks down. And then they ask, like, are you Mukuru? And he nods. And he's saying yes to something he doesn't even understand. But he understands that he is something beyond his own awareness of existence. That there's something else happening through him.
Absolument.
Yes.
David, how upset were you that there was no subway when they got in the tunnels?
Great question.
You know, I actually was not thinking about that because I actually, a good gag, and I love the subway, and we can talk about it for a second if you want, because I know you love my love of the subway.
It's my favorite thing about the podcast.
80% of the phone exchanges we have, like text or DM or whatever, are about the subway.
Also,
That's
like,
true.
Yeah, you know, a new son of New York City.
Right,
You're in
you've
the
been
early
sort of
days of your
enjoying-
love affair of the subway.
It's the 40X and the subway. That's what made me.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. This is what I haven't been able to convey to David. Very similar. You're usually surrounded by people who feel a little dangerous,
I
at
really,
the very least unhinged.
I really love the tunnel stuff in this movie. I found it so cool and evocative. I loved how it looked. I loved how spooky and, like, you know, interesting it was.
There's so many different steps to get down into that tomb.
I loved how implausible it was, right? Where you're like, there's this much? Like, but like, I didn't care at all. And then he like emerges out of a drain pipe and you're like back in like seeing the wave. But yeah, it would have been cool to see a subway.
We skipped my favorite part.
Sure.
Hey, we're skipping around.
Yeah, it's all good.
So the thing that I love so much when it happens in a movie is like when at the end of the second act, someone who's known you your whole life says like 2 sentences that they've never told you before that suddenly reframes everything, where he's like, well, don't you remember how when you were a kid you had a bunch of nightmares and they ended up being exactly how your mom died?
That you were afraid of the cab driver coming to take you away, that you always talked about the cab driver.
It's one of those things where it always works to me when like a character or someone just shows up is like, but don't you remember this thing? And they go, oh my God. And then suddenly the entire movie makes sense. It's like, you could have told him before, but it's perfect that you told him now for dramatic purposes.
People telling David Dunn about his drowning.
Yes, that's exactly right.
There
That's exactly
is a little bit of a David Dunn thing in this movie of like, maybe it wasn't murder. Maybe it was just puddle drowning.
Oh,
He does drown in a
I was
puddle.
going to make
Spoiler
the
alert.
same fucking joke. Well done. I was going to say it's all about puddle drowning.
We forgot to go see Unbreakable last night. Unbreakable was playing last night.
It was at the Nitehawk there.
Excuse me.
Unbreakable. Thank you.
I saw Die Hard with a Vengeance at the Nitehawk, and I took the same train.
We did.
That
I was there.
Hey,
Wait, oh no, we saw Die Hard 2. No, Die Hard. We saw the first Die Hard. I saw Die Hard with a
Fucking
Vengeance with Mal.
JJ.
fucking JJ. That's insane.
I took the train that the bomb is on to go see it at Nitehawk.
The 3 train.
That was
No.
like a religious experience where I realized I'm like, that's the train I was on.
Which train is it?
I think it's the 2 or the 3.
It's the 2 or the 3.
I believe.
That is the greatest New York movie of all time. I think we can all agree.
You know what I call the 3 train?
First round draft pick. What?
The Red Rocket.
I love that.
And like anytime I'm going home on the 3, I text my wife like I'm on the Red Rocket, and she knows what I mean.
Do you have nicknames for other trains?
Yes, some,
Give
not
them
all.
to me.
The Lonely F, of course. I call the F the Lonely F because it's so often separated from its track mates. I call the 4 the Queen of the IRT because she is the Queen of the IRT. I can think of others. Those are the big ones.
This feels like David like sharing diary entries from
Mhm.
like this is I feel like the most personal you have ever gotten on the podcast.
Can I tell you something else unrelated? I was
please.
just looking at what's coming up on Nitehawk. You
Yeah.
reminded me. Showed my daughter the trailer for GOAT, the Steph Curry GOAT basketball player movie.
As I've said many times, my little cousin George's most anticipated movie of 2026. He's been asking about it for 6 months. When is GOAT coming out?
She was pretty intrigued.
Yeah.
She was like, I might want to see more of this GOAT.
We were texting. Our mutual friend, Sean Fennessy, was having a panic about how to schedule programming for the February on Big Picture because of the lack of big releases outside of Wuthering Heights. And we were just like, yeah, it feels like nothing's really going to hit between like Wuthering Heights and Mario and Project Hail Mary. And I was like, look out for fucking GOAT.
GOAT might just sink an easy 35 mil.
Because Zootopia's hanging in there so hard because nothing's really giving it a run for its money. Zootopia's still fucking like number 3 at the box office at the time we're recording this.
Maybe 4.
Sean's not going to do an episode about Strangers Chapter 3.
Well, he is going to break off and do an entire new podcast just about the Stranger Saga.
Well, he's going to record a Strangers episode, but he has to do it by breaking into someone's house that he's never been there before.
Do you know what, BenDavid? Actually, you're joking, but they had an open slot where they haven't been able to decide what to do, and they let people vote on the 4 ideas. And one of the 4 ideas was Amanda Sean movie swap. Sean has to watch Mamma Mia for the first time. Amanda has to watch the original Strangers for the first time. There is a chance that episode will have come out by the time people are listening to this. Goat might be about to shatter the backboard.
We love it. The last wave, guys. What else happens?
There's the thing about taking a train to see a movie where you just get off the train and walk right into a theater and you don't have to park your car. That was probably the biggest reason why I was like, I might stay here for a bit.
Oh, yeah. Courtroom scene. What silly friggin' wigs? What's going on?
Ben asked if we had remembered to bring our barrister wigs, and embarrassingly, all 4 of us left them at home.
Yes. The barristers in the UK, I think recently actually maybe are now not required to wear wigs anymore. I think that's like I'm actually.
Do they still have to go harumph?
Here's my interpretation of the ending, and I cannot get into it deeply, but just sort of in larger strokes, how I took the ending on a narrative level. The whole movie is the Aboriginals warning him not to go deeper into this, right? And just being like, this is not for you. You cannot understand, exist in your world. And they all feel somewhat encumbered by the tension between the natural wavelength that they feel like they engage with reality and this sort of like Western colonial structure placed on top of them that they have to conform to some degree, or at least live in conscious like parallel with, right? And the end of the movie is him literally just like going down the fucking rabbit hole, going so deep down the tunnel, which presented only with a series of new questions that make no sense to him. And then he walks out and he sees a fucking wave. And you don't know if it is, in
a
fact,
dream, something that's happening.
Is this a premonition?
Right.
Is this the thing the premonitions were hinting at? But it speaks more to like, he has now gone through the tunnel and on the other side and he cannot return to the other world. And if he does, he has fully now exited the acceptance of that reality. He will become like a stranger in the land that he used to live in.
Again, I know very little about this sort of Australian Aboriginal mythology of the dreaming or dream time, but I believe if you read more and more about it, I really don't want to try and like sum things like this up on this podcast. But I think that sort of barrier between what is real, what is imagined, or what is real, what is being dreamed is sort of sifted through in an interesting way in that mythology. That's all. I don't really know much.
The question is, do they all know that the wave is coming and they just don't want him to have to deal with that stark reality? Because like...
Possibly. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do?
And he also is a figure...
Build a wall?
Where, because of his ancestral connection, that people like him show up ahead of an apocalyptic event.
Right. They're sort of...
they're like, yeah, you being here means it's happening.
Yes.
It's a sign.
Yes.
So like Stitch.
Quite like Stitch. If Stitch shows up, you know the box office is about to be rocked.
Yeah, I just, what else do people want to say about this? I can tell you that when the film came out, let me tell you that, the reception and so on and so forth, it came out sort of Christmas time in 1977 in Australia. It was like a hit, and it did okay on the Australian art house, the American art house circuit, but like nothing like Picnic at Hanging Rock where like huge attention and a fair amount of money. I think more just like a modest hit. Weir basically in retrospect is like, I haven't checked in on that movie. Like he's like, I don't feel bad about it. He's like, yeah, it did pretty good. I haven't looked at it in a long time. In 2012, he sort of was, he's similarly kind of reflective about it. Like he calls it a graduation film. You know, it's kind of like him getting closer to the next stage of his career. But yeah, he doesn't reflect on this movie as a failure or as like a special gem.
But it does speak to sort of how weirdly and like out of order and almost in one lump sum these movies are seen by Hollywood and America. That this is the one that doesn't really function as any sort of stepping stone in his career in a clear way. He also said that like when he was trying to get money from like the Australian film funds, that everyone was really against the idea of him trying to do a contemporary serious film. It was like contemporary comedy, period drama. Yeah.
But when you get to the end of Picnic at Hanging Rock, which I just watched the other day because I was trying to watch these in order, you feel like this guy is a god of doing, period. And Gallipoli, I feel the same way, where it's like, it's funny that he's very contemporary and very, very effective at it, and also very effective at doing movies that feel like you're time traveling.
But he never picked a lane there. He would sort of switch between them with ease.
I've yet to watch Gallipoli. I'm excited to watch it the night before I record, so I have proper time to process its sad ending. But that feels like a more obvious kind of, okay, I'm ready to make my version of some size of epic now. And also he, like, for the first time, identifies an A-list leading man at the center of his movie.
I think Witness feels a little bit like a combo of the two in a weird way, because the fish out of water thing functionally feels like,
Witness has
very,
some
very
last wave in
modern, and then it's like very, very modern when he's doing the cop stuff, and when he's there, it almost feels like one of his period movies just by virtue of Amish culture.
But Witness is interesting because it's about someone sort of falling in love with a culture that's not his own, learning about it, somewhat getting accepted. This is not that.
But
this is about him trying to understand a culture, but it's not about them being like, you know what? You get it. Like,
I mean, at the end, he kills the shaman.
The shaman is being quite scary.
I mean, but he's also
trying to
taking
steal
all the
stuff.
relics. Yeah, he's the one who's in the wrong.
I would say that he's made a few mistakes. Yes.
But this is a thing in talking about these movies, and we've recorded quite a few of the ones to come after this. They're all sort of about the friction between cultures and realities placed very close together in one way or another. That's like really a through line through his work.
Yeah. Which is very, very interesting. And it's a very interesting, evocative movie. I have a disc. What disc do I have it on? I bought
got the Umbrella Last Wave, the 4K. Is that what you got? There's a Criterion.
I think that's exactly.
But they haven't put it out since DVD.
Yes,
and then
right. I did not buy the
Umbrella
Criterion
has a 4K.
DVD. I bought
there's
the
a
Umbrella
4K, and I didn't know it.
My friend, Umbrella.
Did you get it?
I'm gonna go walk into traffic.
The fine folks at Umbrella Entertainment.
They're good guys, which is Australian company, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Our buddy Alex Ross Perry was the first to visit the Umbrella
He went
Closet.
to their
He has become the inaugural
warehouse.
attendee of the Umbrella Closet, which basically they did not think of even presenting as a mecca.
They did the Super Mario Brothers
Correct.
gigantic set, which is movie heaven.
Do you have that box, David?
Which box?
The Super Mario Umbrella set?
Looks as big as like an encyclopedia.
No.
Yeah,
I
it's like
do
the
not.
size of a car.
I think I have
Like a phone book,
I think
that's what I
Arrow put out a Super Mario disc, maybe.
Well, this one is
That I
like
have
this
that is
big,
less
and
fancy.
it comes with, it's like
the
90
original
discs,
the shooting script, but also an original
and
draft.
it has like
for
a
it. Yeah.
book of art.
Yes.
It's got so much stuff.
Yes.
Sounds a little much. As much as I enjoy, of course.
My review was it was
Koopa
not
and-
enough.
It includes the King James Bible.
And then there's a post-it on the Bible saying Mario is better than this.
Yeah. It comes with a chicken dinner.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
The only time I've gone back
A Yoshi dinner.
since
Yoshi
moving
steak.
here,
God, Yoshi's going to fucking rule the box office this year.
Who's
He's so
voicing
lucky
him?
that Stitch is sitting this one out. What?
Who's voicing him?
I don't think they've announced anybody.
I saw a joke post that I thought was real for about 2 minutes, where they said it was Kendrick Lamar, but it's nothing.
Or will he just like say
I
Yoshi?
feel in the trailer he just says like, yeah,
But Benny,
Maybe that's what he'll do.
the Safdie voice casting is still one of the wildest choices ever. But
I think that really, I was watching a trailer, I was yawning a little bit, and I was like, I wonder who's playing Baby Bowser. What do I care? And then when they said Benny Safdie, I was like, you mildly got me with that one.
it was the Nintendo Direct thing, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'm watching it and they play the trailer first and I hear the voice and I turn to my girlfriend and I go, God fucking damn it, Adam Devine. They cast Adam Devine in another animated movie because he's like, I'm Bowser Jr.
He's a scam.
I'm gonna get you plumbers. And I was like, it's fucking Adam Devine. Adam Devine gets another one off the fucking backboard. And then it cuts back to like Miyamoto. And he's like, we are proud to announce that, of course, Bowser Jr. will be played by Benny
The
Safdie.
honorable
And they
Benny
just
Safdie.
flash Benny Safdie's headshot. And I truly was doubled over with laughter.
It was so funny.
Of course.
Of course. The only choice.
Who else but the director of the Smashing Machine? No one else could bring Bowser Jr. to life. We've all been waiting for it. It's obvious. It's like fucking John Goodman playing Fred Flintstone. The culture has waited for this moment.
when I went back to LA after being gone for a very long time, and I was trying to see a bunch of friends at the same time because I was there for a short amount of time. So I invited everybody to go see Super Mario Brothers at New Bev because they're playing it for like a kids matinee. And
Hoskins, not Pratt.
Oh, I mean, yes, Hoskins. Yeah. And so it was one of those things where someone's like, okay, how much do I really want to see this guy? And somehow so like 20 people went. I don't know if I think that I'd say 80% didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
It's a fascinating movie.
I really like the look of that movie. I cannot, defend every single story decision that it makes, but I just love how it looks.
Our buddy Patrick
It
Williams
was a big movie for me as a
a
kid.
really good video of the contrast of the Illumination movie, which is so obsessed with being faithful to
Of
the
course,
games.
It's the way our culture has
And
changed.
has nothing else going on. Is
Nothing
literally
else
just
going on.
pointing
A
at things
vacant
from the
movie.
games.
Yep.
And then the Mario Brothers Hoskins movie is like, what if we took a different fucking script we wrote
I mean,
and mapped the character names
I
onto
just-
it? And you're like,
I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss that era where
Truly.
Hollywood's like, it's not like we're going to make a real fucking Mario Brothers movie. Embarrassing. That would suck. Let's shit on it with this insane thing anyway.
can
and, like,
Hollywood come back around to having complete contempt for all IP?
I agree.
Can they
Rather than
treat-
being like, and now you will meet the Blue Ranger. I'm like, no, you should be humiliated that I have to meet
Right.
the Blue Ranger.
The horseshoe has come all the way around. I'm tired of Hollywood being like, do you like this? We made this just for you. Do you like it? I want them to be like, fuck you, you
Too bad,
piece of
because
shit. Here's your fucking
The
trough.
wave that's coming of
The last
video game
wave.
movies,
Yeah.
that they're all just going to be
They're
like
going to be hyper.
Easter egg
Yes.
movies.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Too bad.
I do miss the era of someone being like, this fucking sucks. Can you come up with something? And usually it was stuff that was actually really cool, but that you end up with something very interesting when someone has total contempt for the source
And
material.
as a kid, I was still like, they made a Mario movie. I'm happy.
I was thrilled.
He's got a little red hat on. Like, that's all I needed.
4 things happen in this movie that vaguely resemble things from the game.
Very, very
What
funny.
complaint could
It
anyone
is funny.
have?
Miyamoto is like, that brought great shame to our company.
Yes.
Like, he was definitely not like, oh, it was interesting.
But like, there's like a fucking street musician busker who's a human dude with a harmonica around his neck and a guitar named Toad. And I like do the fucking Leo point to my brother and I'm like, it's Toad. They got Toad on screen. And I'm like, that's not fucking Toad.
I've been
That's some
trying to.
dude. Then they turn him into a dinosaur-headed motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like,
And I was like, they got Toad.
He's the best part in the movie.
Yeah, he
I've
was.
had
He's
that
great.
song
The
he
Bob
sings
Bomb is
stuck
the
in my
best
head
part.
forever. But I've been trying to make a bad dudes movie for like 15 years. So I hope someday a trend goes in that direction is all I care about.
oh, so I'm going to play the box office game now.
Is there anything else you want to say about The Last Wave or your general Weir thoughts, BenDavid?
I genuinely feel like I've said way too much.
You're
already.
crazy.
Incorrect.
You have not talked enough.
Yeah,
if anything.
absolutely.
You should be humiliated by how little you've talked. This film,
Oh wait, I just have one final thing I want to say.
Sure.
Cue sounds of rain, splashing, waves,
Great.
water generally.
Cool. And also place it in like 20 times up until this point. Like any time after a joke of mine fell flat, put the waves in so it
Maybe
sounds
it's like
like
a toilet flushing.
no, like a triumphant wave.
okay, so what? But
I have something to say about that, which is that I have a noise machine that plays rain sounds whenever I play it when I go to sleep. And I've had many days where I forgot to turn it off. So now like the sound of rain becomes this thing that my brain kind of cancels out as if it's part of just the sound mix of my life. And that's only been something that's happened like in the recent year or so. And this is the first time I've revisited the movie since then.
Was it, were
And
you
there
catching
was
some winks?
There was a very odd kind of disconnect where
Mhm.
it felt like I was watching a movie and had left my rain sleep machine thing on. So I'm
Entered
really
the
glad I
dream mind.
shared that.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Thank you.
this film came out in America. It says in New York City, so in some small way, in basically Christmas time, December 19th of 1978.
Okay. So
So-
still even before Picnic.
So exactly. So what would have been at the box office on this random weekend?
Okay. December 1978.
Number one is a gigantic smash hit movie that we have covered on our Patreon.
Lilo and Stitch.
That is incorrect.
Fuck.
Good guess though.
We've covered it on our Patreon.
We sure have.
It's a gigantic smash hit.
It sure
film.
is. Yes.
Is it a re-release of Star Wars?
No, it is not.
No. 78, 78, 78.
I
It's
believe
not.
if it wasn't the biggest movie of 78, it was one of the biggest.
Biggest movie of 78. It's not. It's Superman the movie.
Superman! Richard Donner's Superman.
The movie.
You a fan of that one, BenDavid?
I haven't seen it. What is that one? Is it?
It's about a man who is super.
He sure is.
they sent him to Earth to teach us that boys can be big and strong and proud and shouldn't be ashamed.
I actually watched the movies while you guys were covering them on Patreon, and I think they're pretty great. The one movie that I should never revisit, I think, is 2, because 2 I thought was literally the best movie I ever made when I was a kid.
It's a good movie when
you
you're
a kid. It is great.
Perfect.
It is great.
It's kid crack.
I wish I could just live in that kid memory where like every part of it felt like the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Well, you and everyone in our generation, apparently. Like, I'm saying a lot of people just wish they were 12 forever. Number 2 at the box office
Can't wait for the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
It's an interesting one. It's a sequel to a gigantic film.
It's a sequel to a gigantic film, but this film is less gigantic.
Oh, yes. And it is, I would say, pretty forgotten. It's almost forgotten that this movie exists at all.
Is it The Sting 2?
No, but
I'm
that
close.
is the vibe.
That's the vibe.
It is the sequel to like a box office sensation that won, it was nominated for Best Picture and was like a big cultural movie.
Shoot your guess.
Is it Butch, Sundance and Cassie, the early years?
No, it is not. Again,
but it's a 2 and done. This fucking ends the thing forever. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, like, there was no sequel to be made of the first movie.
It was a bad idea.
This is happening 8 years later.
Oh, is it the love story sequel?
Correct. And what is that called?
Ryan's Story?
You're close.
Ryan O'Neal's the actor.
That's right.
The character's name is...
That's a different movie.
David?
Yes.
No, I was guessing.
The character's name is Oliver.
Oliver's
and
Story.
The film is called Oliver's Story.
He falls in love with Buckets Bergen, right?
He falls in love with Candice Bergen. And of course, the tagline was, it takes someone very special to help you forget someone very special. Like, who's like, who'd he fuck later? Like who watches Love Story and then comes out being like, I sure want to know who he later marries.
Like fucking successful date nights across America. Couples walk out wiping away their tears and they're like, I just wish I could see him get over her.
He was so young. I hope he I'm like, I'm sure he will.
What are you talking about?
But what's more difficult? What's more difficult, doing a story to Love Story or following up the tagline to the original?
I know the tagline writer was like, all right, we want to be very respectful to the dearly departed Al McGraw.
Right.
From this. I recently watched Love
You
Story,
watched this for the first time.
which I had never seen. Obviously, that is a movie that was a colossal phenomenon that's, I would say, close to forgotten now.
It is the kind of movie
where
you and I
like,
bring up where we're like, these movies that were so big in their day that no one talks about anymore and feel like such a product of their time. And you and I will be like, is that secretly awesome? If we throw that on tomorrow.
Threw it on. Let me tell you. No.
Snooze.
Really, really, actually quite bad. The first 20 minutes, which is the two of them just going at each other, being so mean.
It should be the good part.
Where he's like, you're such a stuck-up bitch. And she's like, you're a fucking
She's like,
rich
you're
boy
Ryan
asshole.
O'Neal. Your reputation precedes you.
And they're and then they're like, anyway, after 20 minutes of going at each other, so we're fucking in love with each other. And she's like, oh, yeah, absolutely.
And she's like, I'm so sorry I forgot that I'm dying.
And then you're just like, it's so boring.
But love means you never have to say you're sorry.
That is a line in the movie.
But that is the tagline of the original. And they say part of the reason it was such a big hit was that people would hear that and go, what? Holy
people would go
fuck.
Like, huh. And then later when you think about it, you're like, what does that mean? And it's like, doesn't mean anything.
It feels like a Seinfeld
total
bit.
tautology.
It's being like, does it mean never having to say
you saying
sorry?
like, how does
it's
the
like
second movie?
His asshole dad is like, by the way, I'm sorry your wife died. And he's like, love never means never having to say you're sorry.
He says it to his dad?
Yeah, well, he's repeating it. She had already said it to him.
Okay.
And the dad's like, oh, okay. And the dad should be like, fucking what? Like, he should just be like, huh? Parse that out for me, buddy.
If they were trying to top the tagline of the first movie, Oliver's Story's tagline should have been, sorry to that dead lady, but Oliver's got to get some.
Look, time heals all wounds, all right? Oliver's got to meet someone new.
He's ready to say apologies to her memory as he fucks on top of her grave.
Okay, guys, the tagline for Dragonfly was, when someone you love dies, are they gone forever? It's a good question.
It's pretty good.
I will say, Michael Eisner, who was the head of Paramount at the time, the studio that released Love Story and Oliver's Story, his quote on the movie was, let me find it exactly. One way or another, we're doing a sequel to Love Story.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Anyway, the movie came out, nobody liked it, and it was not a hit at all. And I think, again, I'm making fun of the original movie, but I think it was a bit of a disgrace to the memory of a movie people like.
I imagine
were
people
just like, no.
We're offended.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is a film I've not heard of, so let me look this up. It is
Is this first weekend of Superman or second?
It's the I don't know about
Okay,
that.
I'm just wondering if we did this exact weekend on the Superman episode.
I
Either way,
feel like we would have done these riffs.
yeah, Oliver's Story sounds a little familiar.
It
But go on.
does.
Go on.
You're right. It
Go
does
on.
seem like it's kind of the first weekend of Superman. Anyway, yeah, because this is sort of familiar. An Iranian-American adventure drama directed by James Fargo, starring Anthony Quinn. Look, it's called Caravans.
Okay, yeah.
And then number 4 is the movie about being in a Turkish prison.
It's
that makes
called,
Turkish prisons the thing you don't want to be in for
Absolutely.
20 years.
We all know this film is called Oh Heavenly Dog, and it stars Benji and Chevy Chase.
What's
It's
the movie
Midnight
called?
Express.
You know, that might be the only movie where I know the score so well, and I've
Famous
listened to it
score.
100 times,
Yeah.
and I've not seen the movie.
That's another one where you're like, you watch fucking sitcoms from the 80s, as I do, day and night.
We have done this riff before.
This is like
Griffin.
Chariots of Fire.
We're just fucking
Yeah.
syndicating ourselves now.
Yeah, seriously, we are.
Yeah.
But like, yes, where like in sitcoms, people like Turkish prison, bad.
For 15 years, it's used as shorthand for worst thing you can possibly imagine. I've seen Midnight Express, and now you're just like, no one has watched that movie fresh in 15 years.
It's not a movie that's much discussed.
See, I thought the bit was knowing music without having seen the movie, so that's why I said
That's
Chariots of Fire.
Oh,
So
sure.
I just didn't want to. I want to explain my.
Yeah, no, I thought it
weird
was.
thing I
It
said.
was good. It was good. It was really good. You're talking. Keep talking.
Shut the fuck
Griffin,
up.
Keep talking.
quiet. Griffin, number 5 is a very important comedy film of the year.
The
and-
Jerk.
No, good. That's a better movie.
That's 79.
But this is a good
Right.
movie.
It's a good movie. It's not a Brooks. It's important.
Yeah, it's like a big influential comedy movie, giant hit.
It's not a Pryor Wilder.
No.
Is it star driven or is it like director driven?
No, it's a big ensemble, but it features a big star it's sort of, he's already famous from TV and it's his big movie moment.
Huh. It's this big movie
It's-
moment. It's an ensemble. It's on Alan Alda.
No.
TV famous, big ensemble. It's not Kimball Wren.
No.
I'm trying to think.
It's like good. It's like a good
it's
movie.
good. It's good. We like it.
Sure.
Sure, kind of.
It's never been a big movie for me, but I mean, it's
Who's-
very influential and important.
Who's the distributor of this picture?
Oh my God.
I'm asking you a very basic question.
It's a fair point.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
The film was, of course, released by Universal.
The fine folks at Universal. It's Animal House?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
National Lampoon's
Yeah.
Animal House.
Yeah, very, very, very.
But like a
impactful.
movie where it's like, by the time I'm seeing that, I'm sort of being shown it as a bit of a relic, but like a good one, where they're like, you can see the seeds of the comedy you enjoy today here. And I'm like, yeah, but this is also funny. And I'm like, yeah.
The difference
So
for
I didn't
me
watch it a million times.
is that despite having very overprotective parents who greatly monitored what I watched and wouldn't let me watch Rugrats, my father probably showed me Animal House when I was 6 and was like, this is important. This is like more important than the Talmud in my eyes in terms of you understanding where you came from. So yes, it was like I almost learned what funny was by asking my dad, why is that funny?
There you go.
That's how I turned out normal. Anyway, what
But
else is in the
National
box
Lampoons
office?
did lead to everything.
They led to everything.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween.
Wow, wow, wow.
Ralph Bakshi's The Lord of the Rings, which is very cool. The Anthony Hopkins film Magic, recently discussed, of course, on our Sam Raimi episode.
Hoping Raimi goes through with that remake.
A film we very recently discussed on our Patreon, The Wiz.
The Wiz. Bombing.
By the way,
then-
that movie is
Yes.
so good, and I
Fucking
watched it for the
rules.
first time last week. And anyone who hates it is a loser, and maybe right. I don't know. It just blew me away.
Wrong. Gorgeous 4K. The best.
And then
It's very short.
It's short.
Ben might be interested to hear that number 10 is Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke, which is kind of the good one.
Oh, yeah.
Every year, Ben resubmits the idea of Cheech and Chong for Patreon, and David's like, how's that going to feel on the 7th episode?
Right. I'm like, look, we're all going to be, it's like,
I did think of a new one.
Oh,
to
sure.
Pitch.
Yeah.
Dangerfield.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How many is that?
Well,
Like
what are we
star
including?
You got to do the
vehicles.
cartoon.
No.
We do, well, that's already been designated as part of stand-up animation.
Right.
Oh, I
Oh,
voted
yeah,
for that when that happened.
Yeah. It was kind of the Kamala Harris of last year.
Well, oh, yeah. A huge disappointment.
Yeah.
I got a
Maybe
migraine. I
pinned
got a
too many hopes
migraine
on it. It didn't have
on that
what it
one.
took.
I guess you
to
would
go the
do.
distance.
Well, no, like, do you do Caddyshack? No, right?
I think
Yeah.
I
No,
think
no,
you'd
I
have
think
to.
no. I think you want to do
Back to
Rodney Dangerfield is the only guy on the poster.
Back to
movie.
school,
Back-
Easy Money, Lady.
First is easy Money.
Okay.
Which, here's the poster. It's his face going like this. And then Back to School,
but
which is
people
his
are probably-
face going like this.
And in both of these cases,
He's going back. To
American audiences are standing to the side of the poster saluting him, right? Showing him the utmost respect.
So
Number 3 is Ladybugs, where he's going like this.
Yeah, bunch of
Pointing
kids
at a soccer ball.
saluting him.
Number 4,
Meet Wally Sparks? Like, does it kind of jump to the 90s?
It's Meet Wally Sparks, where he's going like this.
Yeah.
He's holding a drink.
And he's asking you to meet him.
And I think that's kind of it. Like, for like true Rodney vehicles. I mean, and there is the cartoon.
I gotta say, I don't know those 2 late ones.
I imagine they are.
You don't know Meet Wally Sparks?
You've never heard of
That's a porch
Ladybugs?
movie.
I've heard of Ladybugs. I've never seen it.
You don't know Ladybugs
was a big deal.
gigantic.
It's like, what if Rodney was the coach of a girls' soccer?
It's Little Giant.
Branded.
I'm on board.
Right, yeah.
All right, but that made me think you should do a series of movies with prominent Billy Joel songs because you have Easy Money,
Sure, Oliver and Company.
and then you could do Mike. I'm just kidding, you're not gonna do Mike and Nick. The one joke I do want to say about that was I cleared a lot of my music in prep, and at one point a very stern person walked into my office and said, "Are you aware that the song you have chosen is from an animated dog picture?"
As if this was news to you.
Yeah, like, can you imagine if I went
Oliver,
to all
we're
this
talking about
effort
Oliver and Company.
Yeah,
yes,
it said, "Get Why Should I Worry" in a movie, and I'm like, it's from a what?
Yes. Do you succeed in being only the second film in history to use Why Should I Worry?
That could be
Quite possibly.
true.
Yes.
I am the second movie to have Cool as Ice, the theme from Cool as Ice,
Well,
in my movie.
I will also say that Rodney Dangerfield did apparently make his last basic movie is a movie called The Fourth Tenor. This is the poster.
I remember this.
I do think we'd have to track this one
We
down,
would have
which
to.
may be illegal in some states.
Rodney does opera.
I love it.
The glass he's holding in that poster, might be hard for you to tell this because it was a little grainy, is breaking because he's singing.
And he's got a bad voice.
Dangerfield gets no respect, but at 80 years of age, manages to get a laugh or two in this low-budget comedy, found DVD and video guide. It's the only review listed on the Wikipedia page.
Do you remember?
Demand it, folks.
a laugh or two is so mean. You're like, I can't remember if there was a second laugh.
Like, Dangerfield gets a laugh or two when he like is unconscious on fucking Carson. Like,
Yes.
that's not good news. That in 90 minutes he rustled up a laugh or two.
That's his lowest laugh
Right. That's not
average.
good. Yeah.
Do you know, or do you remember that when Dangerfield died, which must have been close to, if not over 20 years ago now,
It was 04.
his
So over 20 years ago.
his
Yeah.
widow, when she was like doing the Larry King rounds and such to like eulogize him, was like, well, don't worry, Rodney's coming back. We cloned him.
Okay.
Rodney will be back soon.
So she is that. What's the status of that?
My point is, I don't
Is
think
there
we've
like
heard
a
a peep since then.
Well, if not to go with this literally, but if you had literally cloned him, that would mean that there currently is a 24, 25-year-old guy.
Which sounds pretty funny.
I know, but I'm like, Rodney only got famous in his like 50s.
Right.
Like, it's like a long wait.
Right. There's currently a Rodney Dangerfield clone who's selling aluminum siding.
Right. And I'm
it's
just
15
like,
years before he decides to
they
focus on
fucked
stand-up.
up because like 25 years from now, we're definitely gonna be able to just make like a Rodney hologram. Like, and the clone will be like, I'm ready. And it's like, you are getting no respect. Like, we just,
You
we have
actually,
this. Right.
it's not a bit. We don't care.
I was waiting to make that respect joke, and I
Sorry.
should have known like that it was going to happen anyway.
With a sharp comic mind like David Sims on the ones and twos.
I don't know, man. You made me laugh a lot listening to this podcast,
That's really
but not
nice
the
of you,
subway
BenDavid.
stuff. I take that very serious.
As you
That's very
should.
serious. That's dramatic.
Do you have any Subway questions I can answer on air before we wrap up the show?
What's your favorite movie that has a subway in it?
Great question.
Besides
Take
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Take Impel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's the only correct answer.
It's the gold standard. And, the original, but I
mean, Tony
have a
Scott-
huge soft spot for the Tony Scott.
He's a god to me. But the streaming version of it is 16:9 instead of scope, which is really
Get the fuck out of here.
several Tony Scott movies.
I
and
think
it's really
when we do Tony
disrespectful.
Scott, I mean, not that we love to watch a disc on this.
Yeah.
But we're really going to have to go to
It's
the discs.
discs only.
Yeah.
They've been fucking with his legacy.
I can't do that series because there's like 8 movies I'd want to do, and if I didn't get them, I would be too upset. So just automatically ban
Only
me
getting
from it.
one would upset you. You'd be like, what about the other
No,
seven?
I'm saying all of them. It's like I feel like I really want to.
You're doing the fan.
I would bring his filmography to a desert island before Ridley's, and Ridley's made some of my favorite movies.
I'd agree with that. I think it's a better survival tactic. Mike and Nick and Alice.
Okay, I'm gonna very briefly, because no one listens to this show for promo, but I have to mention I have a movie coming out in the future, which I think is right after this.
It's coming out, I believe, 5 days after this episode drops.
Yes, on the Hulu.
It's uncanny timing, given that we didn't really plan it that way.
Sometimes,
get Hulu without commercials.
Yes.
Invite your friends over. Turn off the lights. Turn it loud. Eat some pizza. You watch it and try to have fun watching it. Buddy action comedy, gangster, time travel, rom-com.
Emily Hampshire, is she cool?
She is the greatest.
I love her.
Good friends.
Huge fan of Emily Hampshire.
She plays a dirty cop in it.
You have not seen the picture yet, David. But can I spoil something for you? Here's the fucking headline. Keith David is in the movie owning bones.
Not surprised to hear it.
BenDavid wrote some fucking meaty monologues for Keith David, who you might be astonished to hear.
He gives a big monologue about my
hard.
dead cat. So
there you go.
So that comes out, and I'm very proud of it, and it's cool. And then also my new Scott Pilgrim game will have just come out when this comes out, and then I believe this comes out as the Blu-ray of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, starring Griffin Newman.
Well, hey,
that is also on Netflix if people want to watch
it. Yes, but physical media has audio commentaries from me and Brian.
I'm just saying,
we love physical media. I played a handful of characters on the show that you very kindly invited me in to do, including Wallace's straight stunt double, Straight Wallace, one of the most cursed characters in modern media, who is not included in the game, but I believe there is any blankies getting ready to play Scott Pilgrim X. Might notice a thing, a conscious nod.
There is a nod to
me as a person
and to porch movies.
Yes, that is also true.
Right,
Brian Lee O'Malley, friend of the show.
We love Brian. He's a huge hero of mine.
I also just not to fucking tee you up like Hogman on this, but partially some of the inspiration for Mike and Nick and Alice comes from us covering Mikey and Nikki on the podcast, correct?
Partially, yes. I mean,
it like jostled your brain.
Yeah, there's
Olivia Craighead.
Olivia Craighead, the great Olivia Craighead.
We love her.
Yeah, the premise of the movie is a gangster goes back in time to try and you can skip ahead of this if you don't want to spoil anything. But a guy goes back in time to try to fix a mistake he had made, kind of betraying his friend. And I had sort of had this idea when there's a lot of these like nihilistic gangster movies, like these relationship things. And I always wonder, you get to the end and you have that pitch black thing. It's like, what if that person could redo it? That's kind of the kernel of it. And then the other thing was just I like the buddy comedy thing of like the redeemed guy and the unredeemed guy butting heads. So it's like Scrooge at the end with Scrooge from the beginning.
Right. What if it's two of the same guy at different points in his journey?
Also a bunch of Gilmore Girls references.
It's an excellent movie. Tremendously fun. Strongly encourage everyone to watch it. I'm sorry.
Are you a Jess guy, a Dean guy, or a Logan guy?
Important.
There is a very long discussion about who the best boyfriend is. And I'll just say anything that James Marsden says in the movie about Gilmore Girls is my opinion. I think that you always give the correct opinion to, the handsome James Marsden guy.
Absolutely.
So in Q&As, I've already had people say, "Oh, so what is your take?" Because there's a lot of different opinions.
You just saw the take.
I'm like, anything Marsden says.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, okay. I gave the take to the best pair of cheekbones.
You remember when Dean gets married and then his wife tries to make him a roast?
So Dean's the worst boyfriend on the show, objectively. But who was the best?
I'm a Jess guy.
See, I like Jess a lot.
But are you saying who's the best boyfriend to Rory?
Who's the best for her? Well, there's only one answer.
Oh boy. I don't know if I agree that there's only one answer. I think that Jess in his more mature form is probably the best boyfriend for Rory. I think that if you take the actions of the characters on the show, it's probably Logan, I guess. But Logan's kind of a dweeb. I don't know. It's complicated.
Well, someone's going to have to get on Hulu to find out my take.
I'm very excited to listen.
Thank you all for listening.
Yes. Jess really fumbles the bag with Rory, though. We all agree. I mean, season 3, Jess completely fumbles the bag, right?
So here's the thing.
Swan song.
Last Wave, I want them to release it in 40X, and I want to drown in the theater.
BenDavid.
That was your response to
They should just fill the theater with water, and you're slowly drowning while you're watching it. That's my big hot tip, my big hot wet take.
I mean, Ben, you have definitely proposed a theater that is you are underwater the entire time.
Yes, and you proposed underwater theater, you proposed upside down theater.
Yeah, that one was.
What if you watch Deep Rising in
Great
a
movie.
theater that's
Great
filled
idea.
with water?
Great idea.
I would watch Deep Rising on my phone right now.
While you're on a
Watch
jet
it
ski
anywhere.
in a theater filled with water?
Yep.
You would watch it in a tree. You would watch it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
My brain is puttering out. I'm
Yeah.
excited for you and I to fucking dominate at trivia, BenDavid.
Oh, you guys doing trivia tonight?
Big time.
We are about
Going
to
to
get
Nitehawk?
trivia. I really hope someone's going to have a round that's all about the with or and actor credits.
People got so mad at that.
David had a difficult
My
round
basketball
when we
chat
hosted trivia.
heard about the trivia round.
Yeah.
And so they were like, come on now, do it to us. Come on. We all work in Hollywood, because it's mostly like LA guys. And I did it and they got mad at me too. They were like, this is too fucking hard. And I'm like, I know, I messed up.
We kind of accidentally went Christian Grey on that trivia.
Yeah, Griffin and I have the trivia team that we do. And the worst we've ever done in a round is maybe getting like 7 out of 10.
Right.
On Sims round, I think I got 2 out of 14.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was tough. It was tough.
The ones that I thought were layups, I look back and I'm like, well, but those are, you basically have to guess and maybe you get it.
We were running all our questions by each other, and I was like, yeah, good round, fair. All these are gettable.
This is the kind of shit we just talk about all the time.
I did an action figure round, and I was sending all the pictures to Marie, and she got all of them immediately. And I was like, good, so all of these are apparent. Everyone knows what all these characters dress like, especially if their faces are poorly sculpted.
Oh,
Ben's
God.
round was great.
Ben's round was
Ben
really
nailed
good.
it. Ben did a video round on holes.
Yes, he did.
Anyway, thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Tune in next week for Gallipoli.
That's right.
And as always, Ohana means family.
No.
I'm looking for the ratings bump. That guy's the king
Oh
of the
my
fucking
God, you
box
did it.
office.
I blame JJ. Blank Check with Griffin and David is hosted by Griffin Newman and David Sims. Our executive producer is me, Ben Hostley. Our creative producer is Marie Barty Salinas, and our associate producer is AJ McKeon. This show is mixed and edited by AJ McKeon and Alan Smithy. Research by JJ Birch. Our theme song is by Lane Montgomery and the Great American Novel, with additional music by Alex Mitchell. Artwork by Joe Bowen, Ollie Moss, and Pat Reynolds. Our production assistant is Minnick. Special thanks to David Cho, Jordan Fish, and Nate Patterson for their production help. Head over to blankcheckpod.com for links to all of the real nerdy shit. Join our Patreon, Blank Check Special Features, for exclusive franchise commentaries and bonus episodes. Follow us on social at Blank Check Pod. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, Checkbook, on Substack. This podcast is created and produced by Blank Check Productions. I'm rolling. And hey, depending on your quote selection,
Yeah.
could throw a little bit storm sounds in post.
I think you want to be throwing some splish splashes in here throughout the episode at your discretion.
I think there should be like soothing rain sounds under the whole episode.
I think you do what works.
Well, I didn't prep anything,
But I think in the final product, at least.
the final product.
Okay.
Can we
Right.
license that song Splish Splash? I was taking a bath.
Bobby
Yes.
Darin.
Bobby
Yeah.
Darin. Can Bobby Darin sponsor this episode?
I'll reference
He's dead.
if a storm moment feels right.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't
I'm happy
think.
that it's fine to just be a post thing. I just
Okay.
think, yes.
I think this should be in the episode. This is a good discussion.
This is the post credit cookie. So people can see how the sausage is made. Okay. Ready?